Live from Studio A in PressCorps World Headquarters, this is Zero Dark PressCorps. It's a live, community-based call-in show, fielding your thoughts on and tales from the Foxhole War. So join the Discord right now through the link below, sign in through the call queue text channel, and hop in the voice lounge for a chance to share your story. Tonight's developer guest, lead developer, Markfoot. Community manager, Crazy Flying Chicken. And now, your host, 13-time winner of the Geoffrey Jennings Award for Excellence in Journalism, Geoffrey Jennings.
All right. Well, good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are here in this single shard that is real life. Welcome to Zero Dark PressCorps. Just as the man said, we have got a very exciting show, very exciting update from the past couple of days. One of the biggest dev streams, one of the only dev streams we've had in about a month, but the biggest one regardless. And it's just we got a whole lobby full of callers chomping at the bit to get in there. I should probably open. Hold on, here we go. We should probably open the channel. Everyone's ready to go. There we go. There we go. It's open now. It's open. All right. Well, you know what? Let's just get into it. Gentlemen, we are joined by Mark and Max being KFC. And yeah, how are you gentlemen in the run-up to this big update?
We're right. I was just mentioning to you this before, but this is like the peak amount of like busyness. I mean, I think next week will be quite busy as well, but we sort of the day before the dev branch is when things kind of like are at that peak point. But I feel like we're getting better at it with each update. Like 2 years ago, at this point in the update, everything will be in like a state of chaos. Right now, it's like still kind of chaotic, but a bit more controlled. So I think I don't know, Max, do you think it's getting better?
It's getting better in some places and rougher in others. I feel like we talked about this earlier today. I feel like the more organized we get, the more we try to squeeze in.
Yeah.
More hypothetical, I can do this, and then you get to it, it's like, no, absolutely not. I've been there. I've been there with this show, and we'll see about tonight. But no, a lot of people are messaging. Actually, did message me, and they're chomping at the bit. So we're going to go through this. You know what? I'll open up with my one question because I want to save room for all the callers. And my one big question here, and actually a couple of people messaged me, kind of asking about the same thing. So that works out. But my question here is: in games that utilize asymmetry, there is often a clear rock, paper, scissors approach to balancing. Does Foxhole use that design approach, would you say?
Max, do you want to answer that, or you want me to take that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Cool.
We try not to. I think that the best balancing the best games that the balance of all of my favorite games tend to try to blur that line as much as they can. I think it's impossible to avoid a kind of unit counter or counters, I guess. Just like in RTS games, like with every strong unit, there's always a counter to it, and to the counter, there's always a counter. So in a way, balance is rock, paper, scissors. But the best games try their best to blur it, and that's what we're trying to do.
Can you give an example of what games, in your opinion, try to avoid that?
Oh, it's going to expose my weaknesses, but one of my favorite games is Company of Heroes.
There you go.
And there are undeniably some very strong units in that game. But anybody who's played Company of Heroes for a long time knows that there's nothing that is absolutely unbeatable. It's just that you may have to know in advance what it is you need to build in order to counter specific strategies and metas. I guess I haven't been exceptional at this game and for a very long time. But back when I remember playing, there were things like the King Tiger was basically unkillable. There was just it was once that vehicle hit the field, there was just no way to beat it. And but that being said, players who played allies would still find the units that had the best penetration, find the strategies that best took it out. Lay traps like planting mines and get it to disable its track to a point where, even though it was an extremely powerful unit, there were plenty of ways to get around it and to beat it. So as long as you knew what you were doing, and I think that that's what we'd like to aspire to, is to make sure that, weapons and vehicles will feel powerful in their own right, but to the experienced player and to the veteran community, they would know the ways to answer it.
So then, going off that, and I know I said one question, but by that I meant my one big question being subsequent follow-up questions and one big topic. How far down, when you're making a new weapon or vehicle, do you go down a rabbit hole of, well, what about this vehicle that we already made, or what about this situation, or what about that? Do you go through those motions, go through those mental exercises?
Yeah, we went through tremendous. We went through a lot of it today, actually. Mark can enlighten you on that one.
Are there visualizations? Do you have like a whiteboard full of like, well, what about the Frenesca?
So it's it's always this. I think in terms of like the content that goes into the game, in terms of like tanks and weapons and vehicles and things like that, it's like the people that are in most control of that is Julian, Max, and myself. And there's always this balance between kind of like the lore and what's good for the what the game needs right now, like what the community is asking for, and just kind of like the overall, what do we want it to look like after like a year, right? So there's a lot of conversations that we don't always agree with each other. Actually, it's quite often that we don't. Julian might want something for the lore, and he feels like very strongly that there shouldn't be these two tanks that are too similar or something of that sort. But then on the game balance side, we're like, no, we might need more to make this work. So it's always like kind of the three of us. But I think that besides all the game balance side of things that Max was talking about, we're always constantly trying to like avoid in Foxhole it feeling it's ultimately like a video game, and this argument's always going to come out. You always hear it on Reddit and stuff. It's like, oh, it's a video game still, so such and such and such. Here's my reasons why it should be like this. But really, we're always trying to avoid thinking that way, and we're always trying to lean heavy into like, okay, well, what like in a real world, like in the real World War II, or some sort of an alternate version of that, like, does this fit that? Like, would it make sense that they would have made this tank? And that to us, of course, the game design is important. Of course, the game balance is important. And we know you guys are super passionate about that, and we get so much feedback on that all the time, right? But we also have to make sure that side, we're always keeping our eye on that side, because we've gone down routes before where Max and I were just talking about this week, where we almost like it's a natural tendency to lean more heavily on the game design side, where you're just trying to fix all these game design problems all day, but it's easy to lose sight of like what's cool and what kind of feels like immersive, right? So I guess the long and short of it is it's a balance of all those things, but we do have a lot of like heated debates. I think Max knows. Yeah.
So then, because I know you've mentioned this in previous shows, and even I think on the Devstream, that would it still be accurate to say that the first thing you think of when coming up with a new anything is how cool it is? How cool would it be? Is that truly the first thing you think of? Try that to be the leading factor, or is it more so the balance?
Yeah,
like we have to put this because there's an imbalance here. Or no.
Usually it starts with what's cool, and it starts at the concept level, but usually there's more concepts that are on the table than we can work on at the time. So it kind of starts with what's cool, and then from that pool, we kind of pick what we need now. Like if the community is saying, hey, we feel like this faction is definitely missing this vehicle or something, and we're hearing a lot about that, then we look at what's there, and it's like, okay, well, it looks like from these things that we were concepting, this makes the most sense to work on first, right? But we typically like, I mean, I don't know, like, I don't want to.
It's hard.
Exactly.
I know it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Literally everything starts with, "Oh, that would be cool." Yeah, there's a
doesn't
functionality to it.
Yeah, because like if there's something glaringly missing on the game balance side, of course we're gonna kind of bypass maybe what's cool and just kind of be okay. Well, this is a critical thing right now, right?
Is there an example? Is there like in the past 6 months or year or so? It's like we thought of this because this was or this was missing. The Colonials were missing this. The Wardens were missing that.
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, I think I think probably the ATLT was. I mean, I don't remember exactly if the concept was there first or not, just because Julian's always has so much things in the mix working. Like, but that one was led by the fact that at the time the Colonials needed a more endgame anti-tank, especially when we were at the stage where we were going to take out the battle tank. So that one led more, at least, I don't know, more is the right word, but it definitely significantly was led by the needs of the time, by the needs of the game balance, I would say. Yeah.
And how much with each new item or vehicle, how much of that is tested completely internally before handing it off in the dev branches, if at all?
We're trying to do it more and more. Like this time around, I would say that we've spent, we've kind of like prepared a lot more before the dev branch in terms of the weapons, right? So it varies. Like I was saying at the beginning of the stream, there been times in the past where we were cramming things in so last minute that we didn't get enough time to do this kind of stuff. But Max, you can talk about this probably a bit more, but I think we are getting better at it, and we are conscientious to like really try harder and harder to like get these features done sooner and sort of tell ourselves, hey, it's time to stop. Even though we want to add in 3 more things, let's stop and not add in those 3 more things, and instead let's just focus on trying to like review this stuff that we have, like spend more time than we have in the past in reviewing this stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's also a point where we almost get too involved with it. Like just today, like our process for balancing these weapons is like we get the weapon out there, we aim. Typically, I'll try to punch in some numbers that seem sane, and then we go through several passes. Including like the pass where we just make sure that it all works, and then we take a look at that balance, and then we make tweaks to it, and then the rest of the team sees it, like the artists who were working on the vehicle or weapon will get to see it, and they might have their input, and it almost gets into this spiral where we're spending a lot of time on it, when in reality, you guys, the players, have thousands of hours in this game. There's 4 of us maybe looking at this balance, and then there's thousands of you guys who look at it in dev branch. And I think something that we need, or something we're getting better at, is just trying to get it out there to you as early as possible, so that you guys can tell us what's wrong with it, because you guys are ultimately the best vets at figuring out where the major glaring issues are.
And I imagine
we just try to get it to you in a working form.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's just getting more and more bare bones as much as possible, because you have so much stuff now to test and balance and consider. Not just because of the sheer amount of stuff, but also asymmetry kind of multiplies that as well. Because like, well, we have to also think about. Well, but I mean, it's not wholly unique, because you can capture things too from the enemy, so you do have to consider that.
Yeah, it's funny. Like we sort of, it's impossible to get real world tests because Foxhole is not. If it's like a 4-player game, that's easy. You can get enough players to actually do the full test. In Foxhole, even the dev branch is not enough. Like it's kind of like our internal test is the first step, but that's definitely not sufficient.
But February 24th is the test.
Is really ultimately the test, and then the months after we have to rebalance. So we have to to work around this. We do lots of like artificial tests. So we'll be like racing vehicles. Like just this afternoon, we spent a whole bunch of time literally racing vehicles and trying to outmaneuver each other, and thinking, okay, like the intention was for this tank to have higher maneuver than this one, and just spent a lot of time like racing the vehicles. It's kind of funny actually. So, but to Max's point, that's why this time around, we really want to get all the. So the goal for tomorrow afternoon is to get all the new weapons out and the 3 new vehicles out to you guys. So and they're in pretty good shape. So you'll have about a week and almost a week and a half to get your feedback and for us to make changes, right? So that's why that's coming tomorrow.
All right. Well, I
We've been
imagine
pretty
you
good at
guys have a lot to parse. Will have a lot to parse through, and that's on you guys. We'll see. It's on you, the the player base, for all of us to figure it out, but or just to play with it. But you'll see plenty of that. Okay. You know what? I'm going to end my line of questioning there because we have a lot of callers to get through. Thanks for humoring me on that. Real quick, I think we've already filled up on everyone we can today. I'll try and keep the calls on a pace today. But as always, I have to mention, and it's in the call queue as well, these rules, a whole bunch of things. But first and foremost, no drama rule, which means no talking about cheatings, bans, general community, kind of just dumb stuff, or pointing out this clan did this player stole that, whatever. Anything like that, we'll drop, and I'll moderate appropriately. Secondly, regimental rules listed there in the call queue as well in the Discord channel. To prevent one regiment from just kind of hijacking the whole night with the same questions and whatnot, we will allow one regiment with a call with more than one person, but then they can't be on any other calls. And then after that, you can individually jump in there in the call queue. But if it's back to back, I'll put someone in between. It sounds complicated, but I think you get a feel for it once we get going along. So with that, it looks like. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna give Mark and Max the heads up because he did not. Oh, my goodness, where is he? There you go. He did not get his trains, but we do have Lek on deck at the station here. And Lek, how are you?
I'm all right. I haven't been. I don't know. I'm all right. I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't got to say on mood. I'm just all right. Howdy.
So. I'm doing just fine now that you're.
Oh fuck!
Here.
I should have asked you back. How are you doing? Yeah, just all right.
Well, everyone's on edge, just trying to get this update out. But hey, Lek, what did you have for us here?
I got 3 things. Hopefully, I'm gonna leave them rapid fire. Okay. One is on the Devstream, there was a disclaimer at the bottom saying that some content related to weapons wouldn't be coming. Do you know what is or won't be coming?
Yeah, I think off the top of my head, the tripod machine gun.
I want a refund. Sorry, that came out. Keep going.
Oh yeah, guys, we'll have the tripods for this update. We know we said this over a year ago, but they're delayed now too.
To clarify, the tripod infantry support gun is going in.
Oh,
right. You could use that tomorrow. The tripod, the bone saw, which is the tripod variant for the Wardens, their anti-tank RPG. That's also on a tripod. Like, there's a variant of that's on a tripod. That's also coming. So tripods are coming. It's just the machine gun specifically is not. Max, I think there was another variant of the Warden anti-tank RPG. I think it was like the knee mortar, or
yep, exactly that one.
Yeah, the knee mortar, and the flare gun. But I think I'm probably missing 1 or 2 more, but almost everything else I think is coming.
So you won't get your rapid fire tripod, but you will get tripods.
Yeah, Max, if I missed anything, do you want to?
Yeah, but there is one that you guys didn't see on that list that is going in. The Colonials are getting their bipod MG, so it's not like you guys don't have an MG.
Oh,
one that you haven't seen.
Is that the one you can prop up on a trench?
Yep. I'm assuming, it's a replacement for the MG, because you guys are removing the standard MG and replacing it with Wardens get the one that can be used while moving and in trenches, and we're getting a different one?
You'll both get one that functions the same way. So one that goes in a trench, you stand up.
Oh, okay, so we're getting one that functions the same way as the one that was shown off?
Yes, but they are different in stats, and you'll see that tomorrow.
All right. So that's rapid fire 1. Rapid Fire 2, crazy. You didn't give me an answer on it. I asked you in DMs a question about because you had mentioned on FOD that permanent destruction wouldn't be happening for town halls and production buildings for obvious reasons for the time being. My question to you was that you didn't answer, so I'll ask it here. Does this mean that you guys are looking for some form of player-built logistical structures and or a way to clear like debris inside of towns so that players might build bunkers or defenses in towns after the town structures are destroyed?
I'll clarify something and then I'll let Mark answer that question. But I will clarify what I did say on FOD. The question that Lek asked me was whether town halls and the construction and the like factories will be destructible, and my answer was that not at this release. We are a little bit nervous about players being able to completely destroy town halls with artillery for the obvious reasons, but that doesn't mean that that will be how it always is. It's just we were going to take a baby step first, and right now you guys can destroy all of the garrison houses, which is to say that they cannot be rebuilt. And I'm not sure about the safe houses. I'm not sure if those can be leveled, but the town halls will be rebuildable.
I believe the safe houses can.
Okay, well, that's cool. Yeah, and I'll let Mark answer the rest of that.
Yeah, was it
specifically whether they will be able to clear out the old these buildings?
It's twofold. The ability to clear out permanently destroyed buildings and replace them with either bunker structures or other defenses, as well as the addition of possible player-built logistic buildings in the future.
Right. Yes. There's no plan for either of those.
Damn.
But I think one concern that we do have is if once some of these structures get ruined, what other interesting things can be done in town, right? So like I don't necessarily think that the door is closed on us adding more things you can do in a ruined town, but honestly any answer I'd give you at this point would just be like a vague answer, because so it's kind of like I think it'll be cool, but
so your answer is it would be cool, but anything of the player-built logistical or removing of structures is a ways off, and it's not currently planned.
It's not currently planned, so probably not the next couple of months at least.
Okay. Final question, one that I have been meaning to ask since around the time of the last Zero Dark, but I feel like it's been going around a lot, and it's the impact that the respawn timers has on your ability to push or defend, and the fact that your ability to push or defend feels almost as a player entirely down to that timer, where it's almost impossible to push or defend or have general infantry support without the advantage of the timer. And the fact of the matter is that whenever whenever the timer swings, it almost always swings to the extremes from 15 seconds to 55, and there's very little in between. So the whole point I'm trying to get at here is, do you think you would be able to look into the way that it's so extreme, how it goes from one to another, and how much of an impact it has on teams' ability to push or defend?
Yeah, so I guess like the first thing I'll say to that is that it shouldn't be going to it shouldn't be snapping from nothing to 55 seconds or whatever it is. But it is important to note that there's more than the respawn timer. You guys know this, but I just want to point it out as well, is that the respawn timer is also determined by how frequently you died, right? So if you respawn and you die pretty quickly, it'll be 60 seconds regardless of where the queue, or sorry, where the balancer, timer lands, right? So it would be weird if all I have to say is it shouldn't be jumping that sharply. That would be very strange. It probably would jump maybe over the span of a day, or like at the fastest like half a day, but it shouldn't be like, one moment it was nothing and then suddenly the next moment it's up to like 60 seconds or something, right? Because keep in mind there are other things that dictate spawn time, right?
Yeah, no.
It-
Let me do a slight clarification here. When I'm talking about this, I generally have the same hyper aggressive infantry playstyle. Like throughout, no matter what, I'll always be trying to flank, gank, and stay alive as much as I can. But I doubt there's much difference in playstyle to like impact the timer that significantly. And even when the timers do feel consistent. Like if I'm dying a lot, it'll still be consistently 15 seconds. Like even if I'm dying like in 2 seconds one life and then staying alive the next, versus if it's at 55 seconds, no amount of staying alive makes it like lower. I could be in a tank for 4 hours and then suddenly my tank gets killed and then it's still 55 seconds, or I'm rushing out onto the battlefield like immediately after that death and it's still 55 seconds even if I die within a minute. My point is that the impact of how often you die doesn't really I don't feel like it's there at all when I'm playing. As well as the fact as well as in terms of like how fast it switches, I feel like the most extreme it has been within a couple of hours. Like I recall during War 69, there was at least 2 pushes where I recall within a matter of like less than 6 hours, it went from one way or the other, like from 15 to 55 or 55 to 15 within 6 hours, at least twice over the course of that war.
Yeah, okay, so that makes sense. I would, in terms of the respawn, I think like that part, it definitely, if it's not working this way, there's a bug, and we have to take a look at it. But it's definitely should be increasing your timer quite sharply if you keep dying. But in terms of it changing over 6 hours or even 4 or 5 hours, I think that is definitely within. So if that's the case, then yeah, that is kind of that could happen if there's a sharp sort of change in the population conditions, right? So but besides all that, it's ultimately this is something where it's always a push and pull between trying to keep the population balanced and what's the threshold for things like spawn timers, right? And maybe we've just hit some threshold where this is too far, right? Like
yeah, I feel like it's almost overswung to the point where the timer is more impactful than it should be, and ultimately it feels really dissatisfying and frustrating as a player where you're planning some kind of operation or something, and then as soon as you start, the timer is at 55 seconds, and you realize you literally just have to postpone it for like a day or something. And maybe you had it planned out so people were freeing up their schedules because you had a big operation planned, and then suddenly you just can't do it, or your ability to push just becomes completely neutered because of the timer, and it feels really awful. But
does it? Oh, well, that's a matter of opinion.
50 second respawn time will always feel terrible. Like
okay,
at least for someone that comes from like games where the highest, like I used to play a ton of TF2, and
right,
in that
and that's
game,
like 5 seconds if you're on blue team on control points, right, on Dust Bowl. It's like 5 seconds, you're good. Yeah, scout.
Well,
rush it.
On attack, it's somewhere between 5 to 10 seconds.
Sure.
On defense, it's like 10 to 20. But the longest you'd get is 20
oh, yeah,
seconds.
In Team Fortress 2, 25 seconds feels like an eternity. Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like, well, again, just
in Foxhole, my point is that 55 seconds, like an entire ass minute, like I end up alt tabbing. I can literally like do my taxes in that time. Like it's an insane amount of time to just not be able to play the game.
Yeah, so
we'll close with this. Yeah,
I think this is my last point on it. Is like I definitely can sympathize with that, and I do feel like I said it's a push and pull between that, and I think it's important that to even if we do recognize, okay, this is a problem, we need to take a look at it. Maybe we need to make some adjustments. I think it's also important though to look at where it came from, which is like the opposite, where we might hear complaints where it's the opposite complaint. Hey, can you guys do something about the fact that we feel like we're completely outnumbered, right? So it's like if we're equalizing the play time, just as an example, just as a super basic example, right? If you have, if we're trying to say, okay, we can't necessarily have equal parity, like we can't have parity on number of players, but maybe we can aim for parity on playtime, right? So the amount of time that soldiers are actually on the field can be closer to equal, right? Now suddenly, like the other side that previously might felt, hey man, this game is broken, like fix this is so frustrating, I don't even want to play. Maybe it's less painful for them, but now it's more painful if you're on the side with the spawn timer. So this is why I'm saying it's not a black and white.
Oh
like
no, I realize that.
Oh yeah,
My point
I think Lek knows that too.
It's not that I don't realize it's black and white. I feel like it's purely that you've gone too far in the other direction, where it's like the end result is that you have to keep in mind with player numbers is that like both teams have like an active pop and a passive pop. So like the problem with the system as it is currently is that it's still like you want to try and find that middle ground because like it's hard to phrase. I wish I had written this down. Maybe I will in future, but it's essentially comes down to the side that has a higher passive pop. That is to say that they're like you don't have to always field those people. Like you can have the same amount of people on average as your opponent, but because you have more passive pop and because your people, let's say, because neither side always has the same amount of players, but if you have a higher passive pop, you can end up taking better advantage of the spawn timer because overall your people will be more spread out in terms of what time they can play. It's
tough. Hey, Lek, write it up on Reddit.
Put into words.
Put it on Reddit.
I don't even know.
Get downvoted to hell. Maybe. I don't care. I want to read it. All right. Hey, Lek, thank you so much for stopping by. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry if I took a while, but
it's fine.
Thank you for having me.
There's a really great suggestion in the chat, actually, that was really interesting. He said if we had something to do while we were waiting to respawn, like pulling supplies,
or the map,
that'd be great. Can you imagine if you could like pull
supplies
while you were waiting?
I actually forgot. Can you pull the map? Because I'm usually looking at foxholestats.com instead of the actual map. Can you do it in the dev screen? I don't know anymore. I don't think you can.
I think you can. I'm pretty sure you can, but I'll have to. Actually, there was a question I had. I have a picture of that Colonial machine gun. Should I just to post it in the general chat?
Yeah, post it there. I'll put it up on screen.
I feel like I've just like jumped into a conversation that I wasn't invited to.
It's fine. No, you're next. You're in the queue. Okay,
man.
So what about this? And we'll go on. We'll move on from there.
No, I just want to post it because it was brought up.
Oh, okay.
Last time.
Right. So. All right. Hey, Liquid. Oh boy, we're getting all the big hitters here with the upcoming update. What do you got for us here? I have a feeling.
I think your feeling might be wrong.
Oh, okay.
I want to know because I saw on the dev stream, I saw this very particular set of words, airburst shells. I think it's cool, right? But I'm curious if there are any other ammunition types that are coming in. Maybe smoke shells for most, if not all, artillery. Maybe smoke shells for tanks. HE shells, illumination shells. I loved when there were multiple shell types. I feel like they were implemented. I didn't like the way they were implemented in the sense that you had to grind to get the best shell type because HE is better than the standard at everything structure-wise. AP is better than the standard at everything armor-wise. I'd love to see shell types being something that's like basically they're all just as easy to produce and they have to be used for different things, and it's whether okay, well I want to specifically target tanks, so I'm going to load my tank up with AP. I want to specifically target structures, so I'm going to load my tank up with the high explosive or shrapnel or whatever, or maybe load a few smoke shells in there so we can give the infantry some support kind of deal. Are there any new shell types coming with this update, and maybe any new shell types
or the disappearance
as well?
Or the disappearance of old ones, disappearance of current ones.
Yeah, disappearance of current shells as well. That's something I'd love to know about.
Oh, Liquid, I am so sorry.
Go on.
The first shell will not be coming in this update.
Oh no, I wasn't expecting to come right away because I know you guys still have to.
So it's not coming right away, and the reason for that is in answer to your question. We're just not sure about the shell types yet. There was a push to get the airburst shell in time for this update, but what ultimately held us back was exactly the question you asked, which is we're not really sure how it'll fit. We're changing so much with artillery that we're a little bit like we could put it in, no doubt, and we could try our best to balance it, but ultimately we were concerned with like that scenario you described, like what is it going to be better or worse, or which one's going to be the most cost effective, and we didn't really want players thinking about that issue so much as we wanted them thinking about like you said, just shelling, like let's just get shelling out there, and then once that's all working, we can revisit the airburst shell and other ammo types. But for right now, I think the airburst shell is the only one we're thinking about, and hopefully we'll see it in a future patch.
Okay, that's good to know. I love the shell types, specifically the smoke shells. I know they're kind of broken right now, but the few times we did get to use smoke shells was awesome. I don't expect you guys to have any information for us on the shell room. I'm sure you guys are still working on that overtime because you know you've got like a week left to get it ready to go.
Actually, we do. It's going to be shipping with this update, and it's actually it was ready to go for the most part, but the one thing missing was the final visuals. We had some stand-in visuals, but the visuals should be coming in tomorrow, and I think next Tuesday or Wednesday you should see it in the dev branch. So
I do have a question about that actually. Is the ammunition room, is it going to be something that's tied to the bunker infrastructure? Is it going to be something that we need to have concrete to build, or will we be able to just ship in our artillery and dig out an ammunition room real quick and get set up in like an hour or two?
No, it actually does require it's gated, I believe, on the concrete, right? For now, we actually talked about introducing a lower tier version of it just this afternoon because we were wrapping up work on the tier 3 version, and we are like, hey, should we consider this? Maybe not now, but for the future. And we just wanted to kind of see the higher end version first, right? Because we kind of know once we put out the tier 2 version, it can never really take that back, right? So
yeah,
we kind of want to see where the tier 3 version goes first, and then we'll reevaluate, right? So
okay, and I hate to say this, I don't mean to like insult or anything, but I don't think we're really going to be using it that much because concrete is, and this is the one thing that's really always bothered me. I've never gotten a chance to talk about it. Concrete and all of the bunker upgrades in general, they don't scale with the tech tree, and that's always bothered me. It's made it to where early war, you hear everyone complain about it, bunkers are too strong. Late war, everyone complains that bunkers are too weak, because if you do not start building your bunker on day one, then you're behind. And you're behind on the tech tree, and you're going to be behind, and everyone's just going to have a significant advantage over you. If you build a week behind, good luck. Best hope you're miles behind the front line. I'd really like to see the bunker tech move to something that at least matches the tech tree in terms of pace. It doesn't seem natural that you unlock these tools to level concrete bunkers late war, but it still takes you like 2, 3, 4, 5 days to get concrete structures built.
yeah, I think some of the philosophy, or rather, it's not some, but I think the core philosophy behind that in particular is that if it was too easy to make concrete, then it would significantly contribute to the snowballing issue, right? Like if you're advancing and anyways, yeah. I guess I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now, but I mean,
Yeah.
I guess what like the main I guess the main thing you're saying is that in the early game it's too powerful. Like your main issue is the early game is too powerful, and in the end game is not powerful enough. Like is
Yeah,
that sort of
it doesn't feel like it scales correctly with the rest of the things you can do in the game. It doesn't scale at all, really.
I hope someone does bring that up and go down that rabbit hole.
Oh yeah. Then the last thing that I wanted to ask about, I know you're probably expecting me to be like, oh, why'd you give the Colonial Artillery 50 more range? No, I'm actually curious to see what thematically you want to see difference-wise between Colonial Artillery and Warden Artillery, because I know you want the artillery to feel different. I'm just curious of what kind of feels you're going for as far as the two different factions go.
Yeah, what was Julian's input? Since he puts in the lore, I don't know. Lore for artillery range. That's next level.
Like Warden Artillery, slower rate of fire, heavier, more weighty. That kind of thing. That's what I'm curious about.
Actually, I knew that you would be the most reasonable voice in this. I know that a lot of players have been really, really worried about the ranges on the artillery ever since we announced it on the Devstream. Some people are concerned that the Colonial one has 50 meters more on the heavy and 50 meters less on the light. And but I mean, I think you've already basically described in detail how this whole artillery system, how we want it to work before in the last press corps. You like when I was asking you about it, what you wanted to see your idealized artillery system. You basically described everything we were working on. It took everything in my power to not just like blurt out like it was coming.
Oh, I know. Watching the dev stream, I realized that you were sitting there. The reason you were so quiet is you're just sitting there smiling the whole time.
So, I mean, like, I know you have in your mind already how you think it's going to be balanced, and I guess to give words to that is, like, predominantly, I think accuracy is going to be one of those main levers that we pull. Having 50 meter more range on the Colonial Artillery might seem like a great benefit, but theoretically, I'm not going to give you guys any numbers today, but theoretically, what if the Colonial Artillery at 300 meter range was less accurate than the Warden Artillery at 300
I'm
meter range?
going to warn you right now, it would be better. And
that's
reason for that, and I did want to bring this up. You've changed the artillery system to be a saturation weapon, an area of effect weapon, instead of, oh, we're gonna destroy this particular structure. The less accuracy you have means you can cover more area without having to re-aim. That's a good thing, believe it or not.
A positive thing for the weapon.
Yes.
It's a pro, not a con.
Now, a lot of people will complain, oh, it's not accurate enough to snipe a structure, and that is true. More accuracy will let you destroy a town hall with fewer shells, but I'm sure I've seen the spread of these things. It's going to take, probably 40, 50, maybe even 100 shells if you're trying to target a particular structure, especially if they're repairing it.
So you're saying, like, does it matter if you're inaccurate if everything 300 meters that way is bad guy territory? So you're kind of just hurting the other team regardless, right?
Yeah, and then the less accuracy you have, the more no man's land you can create, and the more structures you can hit at once. And if you want to sit there and shell constantly, not having to re-aim is a huge bonus.
Yeah, getting that concrete a little earlier might help too. Balance out the lines, really give us saturate. But anyway, go ahead. Well, we'll finish with this.
One thing I'm really excited to see from this change is I hope that we'll see bunker bases with a little bit more forethought in it. I know that right now players typically just try to fill every possible square inch with a bunker and then a trench and then a bunker and try to fill up the entire battlefield to squeeze in as many as they can. But with artillery being inaccurate and cheaper now, my hope is that we're going to see people try to spread it out a little bit more and be a little bit more thoughtful. Whether that's the reality or not, we'll have to wait and see. But that's one of the side benefits of having the inaccurate artillery, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. It's interesting. I was hoping for a little bit more range, but I understand why it's short as it is. And 300 meters is enough for us to really move a little bit further back from the front line and be a little bit safer. It's just I don't think we're going to end up building any of the shell rooms. I don't, because it takes so long to get concrete, and we're going to be having to set up this battery in terms of hours, not days. Right. One plus side, though, I think it's the weirdest thing, right? Because everyone's taking all these new artillery changes and they're applying them to the current meta, and they don't understand that everything's about to change. They think, oh, 50 meters is this huge thing for counter battery, but I don't think they understand that you're not going to be able to hit the enemy artillery, even if you get ranged in on it correctly, right? And these artillery pieces are going to be in concrete or tier 2 trench bunkers. You can't take down that with HEFA right now if they're repairing it. It has too much health and it repairs too quickly. What makes you think you're going to be able to counter battery it with something that has the accuracy of a storm cannon, if not worse? It's one of those things.
That's why we'll have to leave that theoretical in the air for now. I think the devs might have something to counter with, but maybe more so they'll have to show it in the dev branch. But regardless, Liquid, thank you so much for bringing up your concerns, and you actually bring up some good thought things to think on, because I know I think artillery might be the big, more than the weapons, more than the weather, even potentially.
I think the no man's land is the biggest thing. Personally.
That is true, but that's kind of hand in hand with artillery almost. I don't know. We'll see. Well,
Max, I'll have a direct line of communication with you when the artillery drops into the dev branch. I'm gonna be sending you a message every other day.
Please send me all of your videos. Can't wait to see it.
Everyone's got a direct line to the dev branch. To the devs. What are you talking about? All right, here we go.
Well, no, I'm gonna be sending them a lot of information.
Right.
So we're gonna be testing everything.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Have a nice night.
All right, coming up next is the big boss himself, Liquid Teef. No, just kidding. Big Boss Teef. BigTeef, welcome back to Zero Dark PressCorps.
It's been like almost a year at this point, and mostly because I had basically a career shift, but yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, welcome back.
I have a shitty question.
Okay.
Really, because I'm probably going to be the only one that has been wanting to ask this question
for
a while.
This is the one we talked about. You came to me about in DMs.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so full transparency. Teef actually messaged me like, "Hey, is it okay if I ask this?" Very considerate of you. Appreciate it. Didn't have to, but just this will involve. We're going to try and work around as much community drama as possible. I warned Teef, like, hey, let's not call out any clan or player or regiment about this. But I think it is important to bring this up because it involves a lot of moderators and how do we handle this, because whenever you have an MMO, it gets messy no matter what you do. So I think it's important. So Teef, I'm going to trust you to handle this one. What do you got for us?
So, regiment update. You're basically giving clans their actual foothold in the thing, besides just being Discord groups and organized people running around with clan tags. I got to tell you, MMOs and organized groups have good history and they have bad history. And when you give incentive to organized groups, well, not everyone's going to, police what's going on inside their own groups. People aren't going to pay attention constantly. When you have groups of 300 players, people slip through the cracks and people start saying shit that they shouldn't be saying.
Right. I mean, that's inevitable, right? Not to say that, we shouldn't have a regiment system or, validate what's been going on for the past 3 to 4 years. But yeah, go on.
I got a 3,000 character script that I'm basically editing on the fly out of consideration for Geoffrey here because he wanted me to change some things. Basically what I'm going to say is we need to bring back in-game moderators and not have them touch cheating and ulting, period. They got to be focusing on community, period. Let developers deal with cheating, alts, and all that shit, and let the moderators deal with the people actually talking to people, just like how Blizzard has GMs, or like how EVE has these in-game moderators to deal with support tickets. I believe that we need to bring those guys back if we're going to have clans now actually officially a part of the game instead of just a natural occurrence in the game.
I mean, I would say even less so because we're validating the clans with the regiments, but more so that 1.0 is right around the corner. There's going to be a big marketing blitz, whether Clapfoot does anything about it or not, you're going to get thousands of people playing this game on day 1 to 150, or I don't know. So yeah, just the heart of the question, bringing back the moderators. Mark, Max, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I don't think there's no. The direct answer is that there aren't any plans in any sort of foreseeable future to bring back the community moderators. So there, just to kind of put that very directly on the table, that's what the plan is. Doesn't mean that, I don't want to say anything beyond that, because at the end of the day, that is what the current plan is.
No one wants to talk about this shit because we just want to play the game. We just want to enjoy the game, and I know you guys just want to focus on making the game.
Well, it's important, but it's going to happen regardless, right? This stuff's going to happen regardless. So you know what? So just to reiterate, what is the current system? What is the current official system? What is the system that Clapfoot? What do you guys want to actually push out there? Which is the ticket system, right? Or report system, right?
Yeah. So really, I think where the moderators, when we started this whole thing, it was the pre-alpha. I don't know if you were there back at the pre-alpha, right? The game was much more like a mod, right? And like a mod of like another game in the sense.
You guys started off as moderators at some point, right? Like as a video game mod. Making mods for video games and stuff. I'm pretty sure that most game developers started off as making mods for existing games that they like.
Yeah, so that's what it kind of felt like, and we were, just for full transparency, we were just kind of putting things together as we were going. We put together the Discord as we were going. We were putting together the Discord when Discord was so new, right? We just said, hey, let's put up a subreddit. Hey, let's put up a Discord. Hey, let's get some moderators from the community. But full transparency, we didn't actually at the time, right? This is to be super clear. I'm talking about like 4 years ago. I'm not talking about last year or like the year before, right? I'm talking about 4 years ago. We were just kind of making things kind of up, to be quite frank, as we were going, right? And I think that through early access, we kind of thought about it, and we, planning out, okay, what is this support system going to look like at 1.0 and beyond? And I think what we have right now is going to be the basis of that, right? It's going to be, obviously we're going to work on better tools. Obviously we're going to work on better processes. This is just a natural thing as a company that we have to learn, right?
So I know you don't have I know you don't have any future plans, but any inkling of idea what kind of tools you might have in mind?
Yeah, well, because there's it's not just like tools or players, but a lot of it is the internal tools as well, right? Like things that we're tracking. I'd like to improve, sort of even the ticketing system that we have. We'd like to improve that to make it a more integrated part of the game at some point, right? So of course we're gonna try to make this part of the game better, just like everything else, right? And at the end of the day, like we're just learning how to make it better, and we're gonna hopefully make it better. But yeah.
Here's the thing with the current support ticket system, and I'm glad it exists, period, it kind of relies on the community to police itself. You don't give players the means to really police themselves when they have their opinions of what they consider as toxic or not. There was an instance where I just turned on the game, opened the map, and I see 3 map posts that, well, KFC has DMs of it. I won't talk about the specifics of it.
We can.
And I spent like 10 minutes writing up a support ticket because, like, this is just bullshit. Like, no one wants to deal with this kind of crap once they log in.
So how would you? Well, first of all, how was that issue resolved? Is that if you believe it was?
When it comes to moderation, the team is not allowed to say, and I completely understand. And I don't want to know happen either. I just hope that things will eventually get better when I make these type of tickets. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. So you do feel like it was serviced sufficiently or no?
If I didn't log in that day and didn't make those reports, nobody else will, because I don't trust my team to accurately figure out what is the problem going on here. What I think is a problem, somebody else won't. If someone's being toxic to the other team, I'm pretty sure the majority of people on my team aren't going to give a shit because they're talking shit about the other team.
So then you believe that we should return to in-game moderators who would take the initiative to police that.
This is what I mean. Like, they should just stick to the community and not deal with cheaters and ultimate developers deal with that, because they actually have the tools to figure out if somebody's cheating or not.
Okay, so you're drawing a line between like actual breaking of the game as opposed to
deal with cheaters and alts. They used to get constant cases about people cheating, and it was just too much for like 8 dudes. But if you cut their, if you departmentalize it, okay, just deal with the community, we'll deal with this other aspect, I think it can be more effective, especially now that we have some changes to the community support staff, hands changing and stuff, better definition of what is socially acceptable now, what isn't. It's 2021 is a scary place. It just is.
I imagine a few years before that was scary too. But anyway, yeah, you're right. Sorry, Max, go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate the feedback, Big Boss. But why don't you just DM me about it afterwards? But I think we should move on. There's not a lot, unfortunately, that we can talk about on this show for this stuff. So
yeah, I just want to explore kind of just the mechanics of how that system will work. But I think for the way forward, I think it's safe to say that the ticket system is going to be.
This is why this question sucks. I didn't want to talk about it, but someone has to talk about it eventually, and I volunteered. And I apologize if I made anyone uncomfortable.
No, that's fine.
Because people just want to fucking play a video game, dude. They don't want to think about this shit.
I got you.
People
not at all.
Who are developing a video game don't want to talk about this shit either.
Do you have a question about like the winter update?
Yes. Give me a tool that doesn't involve explosives that can destroy buildings.
What?
Like what?
A demolition tool that doesn't require me to farm, that I can just put diesel in it. I'm talking about a deconstruction vehicle. You have a construction vehicle, you have a deconstruction vehicle. There you go. You have early war battering rams. You have some type of early war tool that you could use for a limited time to deconstruct shit and then help clean up. Because that's what the harvesters were supposed to do, and then you remove that mechanic from it. Now it's just a farming tool. So let's have their own faction-specific, asymmetrical, whatever crap you want to throw on it, deconstruction vehicle, so we can do cleanup, so we're not throwing 300 HE grenades around town like lunatics.
Like enemy defenses, you mean, not like friendly ones?
Yeah, that's the implied use, and probably going to be the majority use, but yes, I feel people would use that on friendly buildings as well. But with your new systems in place where alting has significantly cut down, I don't think we'll have that many cases of using deconstruction vehicles for nefarious means, especially when you still have the team damage mechanic in play. But I think it would be useful for helping people trying to fix their own bunker bases.
Cool. Yeah, no, we agree. I think it's especially problematic for things like trenches, which have so much health and they're difficult to remove right now. That was a problem that was raised internally with our team too, that we're definitely going to have to look at when we come around to the base building update, which hopefully will be in a couple of months, I think, Mark?
Yeah, and we're gonna come back to base building. It's not a revamp. I've been very careful to, like, it's not gonna be, we're not gonna do to base building what arms race did to vehicles, or do to base building even what trench warfare did to it. But I think we always felt that the foundation for the new base building game is there, but we haven't really had the chance to capitalize on it and to improve the tools. There's some very minimal stuff in there, like if you build a certain size bunker, then no one else is really allowed to like attach to it. So there's like a little bit of extra control there that you have. But I think what I'd like to see is taking these sort of workarounds and figuring out how to make it more of a first class feature for the game, right? Like, because the thing that we realized with the base building game is, and I was telling Max this this week. Base builders are the friendliest players in the game. Like
No, I'm not.
Of all, maybe not you. I don't
You
know.
are. No, Teef, I've run into you while playing under a pseudonym, and you were the nicest person to me.
I am nice, but not when I'm building.
Fair enough. That's fair. But of all the DMs I get, like the base builders are always super polite, and I'm not sure why, but there's base builders that spend a tremendous amount of time on this stuff, and I think what we want to do is take a look at the stuff they're doing that's frustrating and try to smooth that over, right? And really look at it from, so anytime I get a message from a base builder at this point now, because we're going to be working on this stuff, I asked them to send me their feedback a lot more than certain other parts of the game, because I really want to understand, like, what for someone who spends like hundreds of hours on this, on making a base. Like, I went in and I spend my time on trying to make these bases, but there's no way I'm gonna surpass like the hundreds and hundreds of hours that a player has spent on this. And I really want to understand, what's the thing that is frustrating? What's the thing that they're trying to do that they can't, right? So
your first mistake was that you're trying to do it solo, Mark. These people are doing it with friends and groups. If you want to have a base or good sizable bases that like them, you need to have a group of people with it. And I highly disagree with that motto, because I've always supported the solo players in mind, because there's going to be instances where you just can't organize your team to help you no matter what it is. And you need to have something in place to at least be able to do something. I solo built a storm cannon base, and it took me over a course of 9 days of 3-hour game sessions each. And it didn't even get used because we won that war.
So you said that, but like that kind of sounds like your fault for doing that?
It absolutely is, and the reason why I wanted to make the storm cannon base so I can sit there and tell somebody I actually made a storm cannon base. I wanted to die.
Okay, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, that doesn't sound fair. That doesn't sound like a fair argument. And it's like, yeah, you can do it by yourself, but I don't think you should.
Exactly. This is why I want to have at least some kind of tools in place for people who just can't get their team to help them.
All right, yeah, I think we agree on that. Okay, hey, hey, kudos to you for doing that. My goodness.
It was a defensive storm cannon, and I didn't think we'd lose. That's why I did it.
Okay, there you go. Hey, don't underestimate these guys. Don't underestimate the builders. You're right, Mark. They're the nicest. They're the nicest if they haven't gone into 8 hours. Good. 9 hours. Forget it. Hey, Teef, thanks so much. Hey, that went fine. That call went perfectly fine. Good work.
Oh, if it stuck to the script, I'm sure it would have gone out of hand. But I had made additions.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
No problem. Hey, Teef, seriously, thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. It's a good question. Okay, common. There's like I think I'll look at the number, but there's a lot of people, so I gotta go through the menu. I have to drag the menu down. Spots, welcome back. Welcome back to Zero Dark PressCorps.
Actually, this is more of a smaller question.
Awesome.
Two smaller questions.
Okay.
First things first. When in the mass protection tank, when it says modular, what does it mean exactly? Is there going to be a million variants of it, or is it actually going to be modular, like the turret itself?
Oh no! All I meant by that was that it's like the light tank. The light tank is a platform. That's how we kind of see it. Like when we introduce a new chassis in the game, like the Silverhand.
Okay.
Chassis,
so the Falchion. This is the Falchion, right?
Yes.
Right.
Just so the Falchion just itself is the mod on the base light tank.
Yeah. So that's the way we look at it, is that's the chassis, and then we're going to build out lots of variants using that chassis.
And the Falchion being the variant.
That's right.
Got it. Okay.
I see.
Okay, yeah, Spots and I were like, Wait, can we just switch out the turret? Can we throw in like a storm cannon on the left? No, we can't. But okay.
Oh my god!
Thanks for
that's
clearing that
actually
up.
great.
Okay, Spots. Go, next question.
Secondary question. With the new scout
Oh
tank,
shit!
is there-
Oh god. Okay, keep going. Keep going. I skipped someone. No, I didn't.
this-
No, I didn't.
you
Okay,
didn't.
keep going.
With the scout tank, is there going to be any time in the future a colonial version of it? And don't say the tankette because the tankette is meant to be compared with the heavy armor car.
I need to actually check. Max, I guess I shouldn't give spoilers, right?
Sorry, you're a little bit quiet to me. Can you repeat the question? What?
Is there going to be a colonial version of the scout tank?
Oh. I think that the answer to this question will always be no. Because we get this question a lot for all of the vehicles, right? Whenever a new vehicle comes out, somebody says, hey, well, are the Wardens going to get one? I think that our goal when it comes...
I'm not referring to like exactly the same, but maybe with like a different armament, like a different look.
Yeah, our goal is to make sure, or to try our best to make it feel like they're never really like classes. I think players have gotten used to this notion that there's really only 3 kinds of tanks, a light, a medium, and a heavy. But what we're aiming to do is to try to make it hard to classify. Like when we release a new tank like the Scout tank, you guys might look at that and go, well, that's like a light tank. So it's like a light tank, and you're trying to classify it in that respect. And that's a similar problem to a real life issue, is that there's a lot of different tanks out there, and in World War II, they classified them as just light, medium, and heavy. But today, modern classifications, there's a lot of different ways to classify it. And that's what we're kind of going for. So in answer to your question, will the Colonials get like a light tank? Yeah, sure. I think that it seems like, of course, they'll have a tank that's lighter than the light tank. But will it feel like a Scout tank? Possibly, probably not. You guys will look at it and go, well, this is nothing like the Scout Warden tank.
Like the tank and the heavy armor car.
Yeah, but that's actually the perfect example of what we're going with. That like you said it yourself. Like, oh, it's kind of like the armored car, but it's really not like the armored car. When the Colonial equivalent of the Scout tank comes out, it's going to be the same way. You're going to be like, well, this is like the Scout tank, but it's not at all like the Scout tank. That's our goal.
I just have a sneaky suspicion in the back of my mind with the new 30mm guns, it might be using that caliber.
Yeah, that is one thing that has been consistent across all of the vehicles, is the weapons. Like we're trying not to add too many different kinds of weapons to the game. So the Scout tank uses the 40mm, or sorry, the machine gun ammo, and if we do have another like machine gun light tank for the Colonials, it's likely to have the same weapon, but that weapon might be different in function. Either maybe rate of fire changed, or maybe the damage is different, that kind of thing.
For sure.
I see.
Spots, thank you so much. Those are good questions. Appreciate it. All right. We will see you around, and I love. Actually, I was going to compliment him on his profile picture. I think that's actually custom made. We actually have so many good artists. I'm actually looking for the person. There we go. We have so many good artists, not just in the press corps, but in the community, that they will just send people art. It's like, hey, I drew this of you. Or like, I saw you on the battlefield. It's like, God, that's really cool. Anyway, sorry. Cal, how do you say your name? Kalmoire?
Kalmoire, yeah.
Kalmoire, hey.
Hello.
Hello.
I spend a lot of time in FOD. I think basically my role in the community is to make game feedback look appealing by, well, mostly making game, combat, and quality of life suggestions there. I hope I'm being heard all right.
Yes.
All right. So I'll try to keep it brief with each of the questions. So first my subject, first of all, will be the future of gas. Because, for example, I've seen a lot of in the concept arts that Julian has made, and also by statements that Matt made, and I think some other devs as well, that the devs would want like incendiary weapons in the game in the future. So like flamethrowers, and an equivalent of a Molotov, like an incendiary grenade, yeah? And therefore, I was wondering what will happen in the future to gas weaponry, because fire weapons are made for garrison clearing and area of effect denial of movement, same as flame weapons. So what will happen to gas if fire weapons get introduced? Will gas weapons be redesigned? Because I had an idea of it basically being less of a killing effect, the gas, and more of not like an instant killing weapon for area of effect. Because I think the current fart grenade, as it's called, is basically a bit too not too much. Doesn't really demand much tactical thinking. It's just you look in a general direction and bam, this 20-meter radius is just unusable for 5 seconds. I think a longer throat I could help out, but that's out of the point. I'm thinking, could it be like for example, we have the new artillery design in the game. Maybe that could be implemented as because the area of effect of artillery is now even wider because it's going to be spread out over a large area. Maybe the gas could be reworked to be a longer and more lingering status effect over battles, which kills slowly and not immediately, which will give it a different purpose than perhaps the future fire weapons.
Before I pass it off to the devs, there's an ability in Company of Heroes 2, I think it belongs to the Americans, where you can deploy white phosphorus. Now, white phosphorus in real life will kill you and mess you up. But in the game, however, it actually doesn't kill any player models. If you use white phosphorus,
just drops them to 1 HP.
Yeah, it hurts them significantly and slows them down, blocks their vision, but it never actually kills them. So it's a little less lethal and more like a utility. I mean, it's a weapon, but like it doesn't outright kill.
It makes fighting harder, basically.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel kind of the same way that gas is kind of. I don't know. It's not like fire where it's like, hey, I'm on fire, and that is bright and beautiful and scary as hell. Whereas gas, I don't know. That's more of a raw feeling aesthetic thing. But you know what? I'll pass it on to the devs and just kind of reiterating the question of, gas, fire, how will they work together? And I know that's kind of getting ahead of ourselves because the fire kind of serves a different purpose for the weather. But what are your thoughts on that?
So the thoughts on
the future of gas.
The future of gas after if incendiary weapons are introduced.
Yes.
Is the question more like you're worried that it's gonna? Well, not worried, but like
redundant.
That it's gonna supersede.
I'm just afraid that they will fill the same role.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. We should probably keep that in mind. I do think that in some theoretical future, if incendiary weapons were introduced, they would have, I would imagine in a fantasy scenario, again, I don't know how that might work exactly in Foxhole, but that they would have the quality of being a bit more persistent, right? Being able to affect things in the longer term as opposed to, as you're saying, just kind of blocking off an area for seconds, right? So I guess I don't know if that would necessarily supersede the green ash. But I am interested in hearing more about how you feel green ash can be more tactically interesting.
I think it could be reworked into being an artillery shell, but not as lethal as the previous design, which was, well, obviously quite effective at that. I think it could be like once you step into gas, like a gas shell, which has exploded, you will not immediately feel its effects. You will still have time to put a gas mask on or to pull one out of the safe house. But generally, I think it wouldn't really work as a grenade anymore if it's going to be a larger and slower effect. It just doesn't feel like a tactical tool and more like a strategic tool of making this line of defense harder to defend in for defenders, because they'll have to all wear gas masks in there, or else they'll suffer.
Now, so I'm actually not all that opposed to just taking out the gas grenade. However, the most important thing about gas grenades is its ability to decrew a vehicle particularly tanks, and it keeps people on edge with the filters. Have you considered that?
I think flame weapons can do the same thing, don't they?
Not necessarily. I mean, it depends. Like,
But
yeah,
not heat.
Molotov cocktails. Were historically thrown at vehicles to kind of disrupt their systems, but um, it's a little different. It functions a little differently, and flows a little differently than how
Yeah,
gas
there's
grenades
less
work.
counters to fire, for example,
It's
than
funny
just a
because, like,
filter.
I think gas works great against vehicle. Well, okay, there's obviously little things here and there, but for the most part, I kind of like that mechanic, kind of keeping things on edge. Obviously, could be rebalanced, but I don't like how it's used purely in infantry form, where people are just tossing. Yeah, people in just a couple of trenches are just tossing gas grenades back and forth. All right, well, let's wait here for 30 seconds. Although I guess fire could do that too. I was like, well, all right, let's just wait here while the fire burns for a minute.
I think fire would have less area of effect than gas currently.
I mean, you could change that too.
Also, a flamethrower, which would be lethal, would also require much more skill to use because it would dedicate an entire person
And there you
to
go.
a dedicated role,
Yeah,
which will just bring all his attention to himself, spewing fire everywhere, unlike the gas grenade, which is just anyone can bring a gas grenade and deny an area for quite a long time. Doesn't really demand much.
That's a good point. If you're going to add flame weapons, it's automatic flamethrower for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Because on the one hand, it would be cool if you just introduce fire. Like, that'd be pretty cool if you could do like a forest fire. You could start a forest fire, but that just sounds OP. I don't know.
Oh, God,
I know.
It's like in Don't Starve.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
something to explore another time. But yeah, the general gist is I think they should be separated into different roles. I think especially the future of gas, because the fire has a certain role with the future. You can't apply it in a different way, I believe. But anyway, on to the next point I have.
We'll close
If I
with
can
this
make
one
it
if you have more.
All right, well, I'll go to the quick one. Basically, I'm going to go over the tank accuracy suggestion, but that's something to keep in mind. But now, something a bit fun. What if there was a different way of filtering chat messages? What if instead of just planting 3 asterisks for each kind of slur, there would be a different, maybe more community-made form of filtering akin to Code 2 and Overwatch, which is basically replacing certain words with silly-sounding things. So you can get the gist of something someone's saying, but it doesn't make him look unintelligible, it makes him look funny. If he's being all vulgar and such.
You gardening noob?
Yeah, exactly.
I was confused about that for a long time, why everybody kept saying I was gardening.
Yeah, and also the issue of some country names being, well, censored, but that's a different issue. That's just the amount of the keywords which are supposed to be censored. But
you know what?
What do you think of that kind of filter?
Go on. Yeah.
I think we need to look at the chat system all over again. I know that that's been on our list of things to do for quite a while, and we've added a couple of minor things like the comms rating system, but we need to just revisit the whole thing. I think there's a lot of quality of life things in there that we could definitely improve upon, like being able to link people things. Like that was like being able to link a Discord link would be really nice, or being able to, at the very least, copy and paste out of the chat window would be nice. There's a lot of the little things in there, but I think that's the chat box has been one of those things that's really old, right, Mark?
Yeah, it's that chat box evolved from all the way back from pre-alpha, and we just kept building and building on it. I think it's seen a couple of refactors, but I do think that at some point, see, here's the thing. It's like we kind of like to work on one thing that's fun is that we kind of visit different parts of the game, and then we tend to look at the things that were the oldest, and we're like, is it time to make this like fresh again, right? And I think that's why the artillery game was if you think about it, artillery was one of the oldest things in the game that hasn't changed. Like field artillery was there before tanks, right? It might even be there before half tracks. I don't recall, but that's why it's on the plate now. And I think that things like the chat window at some point. It might just be like, hey, it's time to. I don't think it's going to be like thrown out and redone, but I think it might, see like a fairly large pass on it to be able to do some of these things, right? There's a lot you could do. There's a lot of quality of life that you can add to the.
Is escort still censored?
Yep.
Okay, so actually, follow-up question. What is the, do you guys just have like a list that you guys, or is it based off something else?
I believe it's based off of some sort of, there's a starting point for this. I don't remember who did the research on this one, but we just evolve it as we go, right?
So you can go in and let's remove that word or let's add that word. You can do that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't know if it was tied to I don't know, Vivox or whatever, or some other service. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Awesome. Hey, Kalmoire, thank you so much for stopping by. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll try to ask my next question next time. So have a nice day.
Yeah, you too.
See ya.
Oh my goodness, an hour and 20 past already. Yeah, go ahead.
I think this is probably our last question, because I know Max, you have to go at 9:30, and
yep.
I need to get back to preparing for the dev branch tomorrow because I don't want us to slip our date.
Yeah, more questions, but then you'll miss the dev branch. I don't think people will like that. All right, so let's finish up here. Well, okay. I'll go through some callers myself after that, which is what everyone wants for sure. Okay, but Zackreaver of the 82DK, welcome back to Zero Dark PressCorps. What do you have for us here?
Oh, jeez, I just heard on the last one out here. Oh, can you hear me all right? Is my mic working?
Yes, yeah, you're good.
All right. Well, this time I didn't want to bug you with tech-related questions because I do that all the time. I do want to mention it is still an issue, but I wanted to bring up other topics. Mostly, I wanted to talk about how the game feels like it's so heavily feature focused on having a constant high population, and issues get exponentially worse as you have less people. And I mostly want to start by asking, what do you guys, as devs, expect of the players when they hop on and they can't really expect to have a lot of people to help them out?
Yeah, so I mean, this is a scaling issue, obviously, and it really depends on the situation, right? So if we go from for most of, I think, outside of this war, which is a little quiet, I think almost most of the wars between arms race and now were actually very full, more full than on average in the history of the entire of the 4-year game, right? So we weren't really bumping up against this sort of issue. So, but there have been times in the past where this was an issue, and when it passes some threshold where we feel like there's some sort of a scaling change that needs to be done, then maybe we'll take a look at scaling certain things down, right? Whether it's the number of factories in the world or other things, but we tend to not it's like I said, these things change in such large point. It's not like this is varying every day, right? It's not like it's not like one day where there's 1,000 players and the next day there's 50, right? It's changes very slowly over a long period of time, right? So we don't focus that much, to be honest, on tons and tons of in-game scaling systems that's just constantly going up and down, and we sort of take a look at, okay, well, maybe this war there should be less regions open, right? And then we close off a bunch of regions, and that's that's kind of it.
I think that's more on the bigger scale kind of thing. I'm talking about more smaller scale.
From the point of view of someone who logs in, let's say they're at the tail end of a war, They log in, and it's like, well, it's at a certain time, and that means there's a billion things to do, and there's not a lot of people here to help me, and a lot of the mechanics rely on working with others. What would you expect that person to do? Did I represent that question correctly, Zach?
Essentially, like a night shift, because
Okay.
during the day there's like a whole bunch of people all over the place, but then there's night shift. You got maybe 3 people in a region at most, or 1 guy in the back working all the factory. That's pretty much what I'm referring to. Because it's a persistent game.
What's like a specific example? Are you talking about just producing soldier supplies or something? Like,
let me actually bring up a pretty important point, because there have been features that you've had in the past that work really well, and there's a lot of things you have already in the game that help this problem, and they could be further expanded upon. Funny enough, the freighter that you added into the game is one of the biggest things for helping that solo player, because if you have 5 guys, you could just get 5 flatbed. But if you have 1 guy, being able to put 5 containers onto a single vehicle saves so much time and effort. And the fact that you can go up to factories, queue up orders, and then step away is also a great feeling. There's a lot of things where one person can make a bigger impact without having to feel like they have an army that helps them out on every day. And having more people helps, but just having things in general where it feels like your impact has more without having to have 3 or 4 extra guys helping you out.
Now, see, the downside to having a solo player have a big impact is that the solo player now has a big impact. If you catch my drift, right? Which is and it's a deeply philosophical issue because it's like, well, at what point do you say, well, yeah, if there is 3 people in a region, well, the other team has free reign. That's kind of that team's fault if there isn't.
But more importantly, there is one detail that really starts to drive things down. When I mentioned how it becomes exponentially worse as the population goes down, you know how when you harvest a resource field and it has to be fully harvested and then it will respawn after some time?
Mm-hmm.
That's the same for like salvage, components, and sulfur. Components and sulfur, especially because they have a really long respawn time. But let's say that you look at the map and you see a field has just respawned, but there's like nobody on to collect it. If you don't start collecting it, that's just going to sit there fully unharvested, and it feels like time is being wasted. Because if nobody harvests that, that's resources that your team just aren't going to get. And it's the same with looking at a factory. If I'm on the front line fighting and I open up the map and look at the factory and see that there's no orders being queued up, I know that factory could be making stuff and the other team is probably making stuff constantly. It just feels like we're wasting efficiency because we're not 24/7 doing that thing.
So let me ask the devs, based on what you just said, let me ask the devs, is that a feature? The fact that someone feels like I have to choose between mining, producing, holding the line, and or transporting, like the fact that they have to make those decisions and feel pressured or whatever, is that a feature? Is that a design intention?
Yeah, I think so. I think the game is made, obviously for lots of players to work together, right? It's not like if you could do it multiple things on your own too easily, it's obviously clear that works against that, right? So, I mean, this is just the reality of making this type of a game, right? And there's no real like escaping it. Let me just put it this way: there's no real escaping this without infringing on that goal, right? Because the moment you start saying, I mean, you can add things in, right? And I
think that's actually not what I was going for.
Oh, okay.
It isn't so much that it encourages and requires people to work together, but more like the lines. I look at that unharvested field, and I'm like, that would take me a very long time to fully harvest. The problem is, if I don't fully harvest it, it doesn't respawn. So if I partially harvest it, it's going to stay partially harvested until someone comes over and finishes it, or a group of people come over and finish it. What I would prefer, instead of requiring it to fully be harvested, and then it starts its long respawn timer, make it so after you partially harvest it, like 25%, it will replenish only 25% of its resources after a shorter time. Because that way, you don't feel like as much time is being wasted and efficiency isn't fully up there. And maybe if a factory just runs idle for a long time, after some time, it maybe produces a little bit faster for a bit to make up for the fact that there's not always someone 24/7 there. Otherwise, it feels like we have to no-life this game.
I mean, I like that.
Right.
I like that specific
Yeah.
suggestion.
Like the replenishing, not having to mine out every single thing before the resource field replenishes, right?
Wait, do they do that? I feel like I should know this because I'm like strictly do mining.
Did that change recently?
No. I'm asking, like, I'm basically saying that's what you're suggesting. That's not how it behaves.
Yeah,
you have to clear it out, right? So
yeah, you have to fully clear it out for it to respawn. That's how it's worked for several wars, and it just feels like I'm not done until this is fully empty. Because if I leave a field with like 2 or 5 nodes or 10 nodes, it's gonna stay 10 nodes until someone comes over. And if it doesn't work that way, the game doesn't tell me that.
There's a lot the game doesn't tell you.
Like, that's another main thing. Like, a lot of stuff in this game is kept hidden from the players.
Oh, hey,
and
going off that point, hey, quick shout out. Thank you for in the tooltips actually saying the ammo type that the weapon goes to. You've probably eliminated like 100 hours of frustrated people. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go on, Zach.
Oh yeah, more information is always welcome, because the more information that's hidden from the player base, the more frustrating it is, because we like to optimize ourselves or just be a little bit more efficient, but when everything's hidden, we have to devote a lot of time just essentially figuring out the puzzle that you've left for us.
I'm just happy that I will not see, I will not no longer see like gunboat shells at a howitzer. Like I'll be really happy to see that.
There's a lot of people that still don't read.
So I don't have too much time, but just my one last point there, because we are going to be thinking about quality of life things over the next couple of months after this big feature update. What is some information that you would personally like to see that, obviously I know you want to see everything, right? Which is not going to happen, but if you prioritize list, right? Like what's your top 3 things? Yeah.
Oh, okay, top 3 things. If you're going to keep the text system the way it is, I still want to change, but let us see how many more submissions before completion, so we just know when the end state is. Let us know how long it will take for a base to get its next facility, or like the time investment, how long for it to complete.
Like a number, like an actual number?
Yeah, like an actual number or a
timer. Yeah, I think he wants to know the...
So, like, it's like we know this base will have small garrison in, like, 7 hours. I'm like, okay. That's information I can work with, as opposed to, is it going to be 7 hours, 12 hours, a week? I know it's not a week, but that's the kind of information that it would just be nice to know. It's like, if it only takes, like, an hour left, like, oh, I just got to guard it for an hour, and then I got it.
Okay, so what's your number 3?
Number 3... on the spot here.
I know my number 1, my number 2, and my number 3 is just putting the weapon caliber, or like the ammunition to the weapon in the factory. Like that's enough for me already.
That is coming in Update 42. We added that as part of the weapon tool.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I just saw in chat what the next one would be.
I think by then I just already know.
Someone mentioned armor. It would be nice to know the exact stats of our vehicles. Sure, it may seem like it's it's gamey to know the numbers of vehicle stats.
How about just bars? Not even numbers, just like general bars.
Or information is nice. Just knowing how we can look at something and go, okay, so this is what it can do. It would be good. Or knowing if a vehicle actually has damaged armor. It's like, oh, my tank got shot by a couple rifle rounds. Do we have armor? Do we need to fix that up? We can repair health, but we have no idea how low our armor's been beaten up. It's all like I know there's no visual representation, and I know that eventually there might be visual representation, but even just being able to open the inventory and go, oh, the armor's pretty much all gone. We should go fix that.
Yeah, I think I think for that last point, it's maybe the last point on it. It's not what you want to hear, but I do think that for things like how much tank armor you have left, we would really like to surface that, but in a way that wasn't an exact number, but maybe more like a visual, kind of like the garrison houses or other structures. The more damaged they are, you can kind of see the state change. But I know that's not what you want, but that's probably where we hope.
More information is still better.
You want to see something more like in Mario Kart, right? If you change wheels, your acceleration bar fills up by like 30% more. You want to see something like that?
I guess. I think the main thing is the first two things, because the first two things will occupy a large amount of time and will drive people insane when you're collecting stuff for tech or when you're waiting for your forward base to get AI so that you don't have to worry about one guy driving a CV over and resetting it. Like, those are the two main things that just make me not want to play. Knowing that instead of big, gigantic wars and battlefields that are fun, the biggest thing that anyone can do is just play when no one else is around and reset a base.
I like that. All right. Well, Zach, thank you so much for stopping by, representing the 82 DK. I think you guys.
Sorry,
I hope. I haven't thought about that. Yeah, when the regiment system gets introduced, jump on that. Everyone, jump on your tags real quick, because you might get some pretenders. They might steal the real 82 DK. In fact, oh shoot! I literally just thought of this. Hey, Max, what's to keep someone from creating a pretender 82 DK or a pretender SOM, a fake PressCorps, or not that I'm going to make one, but you know what I'm talking about?
Yep. We did think about that. That's why if you guys take a look at the video, there is, when you create the clan, you'll get that four digit identifier. Just like in Discord, if somebody renames himself to be named after you, you can still tell them apart by looking at that 4-digit number. And yeah, I think that we've accounted for all of those cases.
I guess
there might still be some problems, but
yeah, to add on to that, we actually gave that a lot of thought, because we also didn't want it to kind of ruin the look of players' names by having a 4-number tag. So the way it works is, but we always want to make sure that there was some way you can find out if someone was impersonating, which is that. So when you see a friendly player in the world on the HUD, it will only show the characters. It won't show the code. So it kind of looks like the game that you know now for most cases, right? If you want to look at the code, you bring up the F1 screen, and then you can see all the players in your region, and then it shows the code there. So that's how you find out, right? So it doesn't ruin the look. Now for the enemies, we were like, okay, well, how are we going to do it for the enemies, right? You can't see them in that list. So for the enemies, you usually don't see their tag unless they're really close. So in this case, we were okay with just showing the code when the enemy is close. So therefore, now you always have a path to knowing if someone was just trying to pretend to be a clan or like regiment, and yeah.
For sure. I guess I'm also thinking about that specific like first couple of days when everyone's jumping on the regiment system. I hope no one snipes 82 DK from the actual 82 DK.
Even if they do, it won't really matter, because again, we're gonna have the real guys, and we'll just say what our real code is.
That is true.
So,
I think I'm completely missing. Okay, I think I get it now. So then there can be multiple people who can steal 82 DK, but there'll only be one true 82 DK with that 4-digit code. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
That's
got
accurate.
it.
Yeah.
I got it now. Okay.
Either way, sorry if I was rambly a bit. No. I didn't actually know there was going to be a Zero Dark this week. Usually it's the other week of the dev branch. So I was a little caught off guard, and I kind of threw this thing together like at last minute. I had one thing I wanted to mention about the small arms update, but that's going to have to wait till another time.
Yeah, we'll get through as many as we
possibly I will let you know, even though I'm always coming here about problems, I love the game dearly. I just really wish there wasn't so many things that kind of get in the way of it. I'm looking forward to every update, especially this next one. It looks amazing.
That's great to hear. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Awesome. Zach, thank you so much.
Great to be here.
All right. Well, I guess you gentlemen have to leave, both of you?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine. I know you guys are hard at work. And again, if the dev branch is delayed, it's literally only my fault. That's the only possible reason. So I'll take that heat. But yeah, thank you so much. As Zach said, we throw a lot of problems at you guys, but only because we're so passionate. Stick around. Oh, okay, that's fine. But stick around. You know, I'm gonna to our audience, please stick around. I'll go through at least air some comments. But for at least for Mark and for Max here, thank you so much. Duly appreciate it. And we do have some exciting things in the press corps to hopefully talk about soon-ish. But yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks
for having us. Bye.
Farewell. Okay, well, you know what? Rhodes has volunteered to be skipped, so I guess we'll go to Hero Luca. Hero, how are you? If you can, I don't think you can hear me. That's okay. I think he's got the mute. Hey, Hero.
I got nothing to say except that you need one hell of a way of shortening people's questions on this show.
It's, well, here, okay, thank you for bringing that. Oh, okay. He's gone. Okay, well, I wanted to discuss that actually. It's tough because I really wanted to, it's tough because I don't want people to come in with like, hey, are you going to do this? Yes. Okay, next. I don't want to do that. At the same time, I kind of want to explore. I want to explore something to its fullest extent, and even then, I kind of fail at it. So, I don't know. I kind of suck at this. If that's where it comes to. Yeah, sure, I'll take that. That's fine. That's a fair assessment. But you know what? We're going to move on here to Maggo, Hero Maggo, and he's also bringing in Shacks. And then, sorry, I literally have to drag people down to the other channel. And this fireman here, I don't know if he's here. I think he left.
Shacks.
That's okay. But gentlemen, what did you have for us? I'm not a dev. I can't answer anything. Yeah. But if you just wanted to discuss things, say it on air. What do you got?
Well, we did kind of have questions for the devs about, the implementation of the new weather system and whatnot. Like, do snowstorms affect like? I guess we'll have to find that out later. Hello, Shacks.
What did you want to see?
Oh well, what we kind of want to see is Mark talked about it. I think maybe last Zero Dark.
Last one, yeah.
Yeah, they were talking about the kill markings on tanks or whatever, but in order if you had that tank with kills or whatever, you'd want to be able to store it in it. And a big problem in the game at the moment is you make a base or whatever. Your base builder builds like a little parking lot. Someone's probably just going to go there when you're asleep and steal your vehicles. And
if you build an elaborate trap to hide your own vehicles from your own team, you get them back from the enemy. You survive for 6-7 hours in the enemy's backline in the same vehicle, bring it home 3 days in a row, and then some guy demolishes half your base to get your vehicle out because they want it instead of making their own. You know what I mean? It's a persistent problem. And
it is really annoying.
If you want to be attached to your vehicles, you need to know you can safely put them away again to get them out again. You need your toys to be safely stored so you can use them again. You know what I mean? If it's your half track or your tank and you've done good work with it, you want to safely store it, get out tomorrow, do it again.
Yeah. And so, we were thinking, a good way to implement that would be to have maybe like a forward deployment point at like a base or whatnot. Something somewhere in between like a mini storage depot perhaps and a freighter. You could take like vehicle crates there and maybe store up to like 3 vehicles. But also arm them and be able to take them out straight away for deployment. And if you do have a mechanic such as the weather introduction, freezing your tanks, if it's left out in the open at a base, they're going to freeze, isn't it? So you want somewhere where you can keep your tanks warm or other vehicles or whatever, and be able to get them out when to QRF your region or just to deploy or whatever without having to go to bed and be like, is it going to be there when I wake up? Because that sucks.
It does. You don't have to think that it's your own team you got to worry about more than the enemy. Like, and the levels some people will go to demolish your elaborate trap base where you've hidden your stolen and it's enemy vehicles. That's the more irritating thing. You go out of your way, you have people that go out and their job is just to steal enemy armor, bring it home so we can use their unique vehicles, and then it's your own team that goes and steals it off you, and you can't do anything about that. Even if you hide it behind 5 levels of, trenches and you got to crane it over, eventually someone will just take it. Someone will demolish all that and just take it, and it's just disheartening. Because you want to get attached to your armor, and they talked about that stuff. They wanted, they wanted to see maybe you get kill markers, like you say, and fancy things to show. This is my thing, and I've used it well, and it looks cooler. It doesn't have to get any better mechanically. You just want little visual indications, but that'd never work until there's some way to safely deposit those vehicles between play sessions.
Yeah. It's not like you wouldn't be able to have, if you could have one maybe on a regimental lock and maybe another, forward deployment thing for the public to use. Just whack some, like some regular tanks there. If you can bring a vehicle crate there and just deploy it from the front there, it'd also encourage.
Can't you already do that?
No, once you've taken it out, you can't put it back.
Oh,
everything goes public, and it's got to be taken out at a storage depot or a seaport. And if you've got a base on the other side of the region from a storage depot or whatever, you got to drive all your stuff there individually.
It sucks. I still haven't driven the Silver Hands. Or even
I've not used one. Since Arms Race, I got a bit disheartened by it, and I've not used a lot of the new vehicles as much as I should.
Oh, really? Yeah. I remember just when the Silverhand, every time a Silverhand comes on the field, everyone is like, "Well, here comes the Silverhand, and it's a vehicle. It's got 2 turrets, can't flank it." So
it's been nerfed a lot now, though. But
it's tough.
35-meter range.
Personally speaking, I actually don't understand how people are saying, "Oh, the Silverhand sucks." I don't.
It doesn't suck. It's just more situational.
Is it? Hold on. Is it situational, or is it feels like more of a jack of all trades with another turret?
The fact that the light tank destroyer is always going to back away from it faster and outpace it with the speed, and now it's I don't know. I think it'd still be good in towns and stuff when you can surprise them with that extra punch.
Yeah,
closing the distance.
A good line tank in lieu of BTs or whatever. Be a good support tank, but that isn't in the game at the moment. It will be, and we get that. But it's not OP like people go on about it being with the tank destroyer, being in the game now.
Mm-hmm. But I like ambushing with tanks, and Silverhand is a great ambush tank if you can pull it off. It's just you don't always get the chance to pull off an ambush with a tank or a flank. But that is the best time of them. But yeah, I was going to ask Matt, they should put in, one of my little throwaway question was going to be, they should put in icebreakers for that tiny situation where the river freezes and you need to get a convoy through. It'd be funny having an icebreaker.
According to what I remember, the vehicle will be okay. It'll just be stuck, right? It won't be destroyed.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be cool having convoys you've got to forge through with that in the front, chewing the ice up? Yeah. The rest of them are following it.
You'll probably die from the cold.
Yeah, true.
But
either way, we just wanted to mention the vehicles and whatnot and the storage of them and how it would tie into the keeping your vehicles safe and not freezing when you need to store them.
Yeah, that was a big one. I'm actually surprised no one brought that up earlier. But a lot of the, they kind of have it it's funny because Clapfoot is Canadian, so they know all about keeping vehicles warm by idling. They know that. They know what winter's like.
Now we've got fire and sitting around it. We need some small little RP touches. We need cards. We need drinking around the fire when you're all stuck bored. We need some little.
We're getting closer there every day. Immersion. Yeah, you've got the Company of Heroes 2-esque cold system where you can die if you don't have a fire for long enough. Probably won't be as severe or as quick, but it'll be a thing. So yeah, I personally.
Some people about it, but
I hope it increases the social aspect. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's just some people are a bit like, weather, more kind of variables, but anything that adds more immersion and those little touches where you feel like it's a little war story you can remember and go, that time me and these 4 random dudes are freezing our asses off around a fire in the middle of nowhere, that's cool. That's what you want. That's what you're here for. Those little stories.
We're like backline partisans as well most of the time. We're off on little voyages and we're always trying to steal vehicles and whatnot. And it's going to be fun stealing new weapons and whatnot as well. Because you no longer just wipe out a Logi truck and despawn it. Because you're going to want to be able to have your side fulfill certain roles. So I think a lot of partisans are going to have a bit more to do with the new the introduction of new weapons. Like people are going to focus more on extraction rather than just deletion. And that could play quite well.
Yeah, We'll have to see. Hey, gentlemen, appreciate
pleasure.
you stopping by. Are you? If you didn't have anything else, where do you guys hail from? Or like just what general time zone?
Where?
UK, the northern part of the
Oh my gosh! So it must be what 4 in the morning there or something?
Oh, come on, bro. No life. We used to play this game till 1 in the afternoon all night back in the day when we cared that much. Don't sleep.
Is HOC active right now?
Yeah, we used to be Gas and IDC, a lot of us, and HOC, and we all merged together.
Okay.
We were quite active, yeah.
Yeah. We're like probably, I think maybe like the 4th biggest Warden clan now.
Anyway, let's not keep all these other patient people waiting. So.
That's fine. Hey, appreciate you coming by. Thanks so much. See you around. Some nice lads. Nice lads there. All right, coming up next. We're just shooting the shit now. Torrento. Let's stuff some people in here. Nope, he's gone. All right, who's left? Who's left? Stranger Days. Nope, he's gone. Canadian Cowboy. All the reason for coming here has been completely. Hold on. I'm gonna literally. Oh, Stranger Days. Stranger Days is there. I missed. He was streaming. That's why. Okay. And then I think Toronto's gone. That's fine. All right.
What? Yeah.
Welsh King. Hey, it must be 6 in the morning for him as well.
Oh.
Gentlemen,
doing
or ladies,
round.
or whatever you identify, fine by me. Okay,
Right.
round table discussion. Should there be a blue ash?
You know what? I'd actually be rather interested in the idea of multiple types of ash in this game. Maybe they have different effects. Like there could be one that lingers for a longer period of time, but it just slows people down, makes you have like coughing fits.
Yeah,
so tear gas. I feel like that was a joke question from you, but I gave you a serious answer.
You did, and we were literally talking about that with someone. I forgot his name already, but regardless, it's. I actually do want to see something. I do actually want to see green ash turn into a less lethal tear gas, but has different kind of effects surrounding it. But anyway, Welsh King, I think you're the first person, or the only one of us in this room that hasn't actually been on the show, I think.
Yeah, it's my first time. I only came back to Foxhole War 67. I started in pre-alpha. I took about a 2 year.
Okay,
I took about a 2 year break.
This is a whole new game. You might as well have rebought
it.
Yeah.
I played in the old days of square maps and basic rifles. And then I came back, and we now have tanks, SMGs, and everything else in between.
I want to poke your brain on this then, and feel free to chime in from Canadian Stranger as well, Explorer as well. What is so far the best thing that you've seen? Like, oh, this is a 100% improvement. I love this thing that I didn't get before. And what is the thing that's like, why did they change this? Or they completely dropped the ball on this. This has completely gotten worse. What can you pick out?
So the vehicle implementation has been massive. Like just the variation, seeing what tanks can do, seeing what the bunker system has come along, from the old days, and there's no more. Let's wall everything off and basically turn everything into a castle. That's been great. The downside that I've seen on a huge basis, and I keep hearing it from loads of people, is the imbalance in certain areas. I know the devs don't want a sort of lateral line of everybody gets the same stuff, but
sure,
there are ways of implementing along those lines, but still on their sort of vision. I know the DK guys previously mentioned about the tank destroyer. It's got the higher caliber, the longer range, and it's faster than the Sylvan's supposed to be. Yes, it has heavier armor, but still, once something can outrange you and is used correctly, it just makes it a little bit. There's a lot of little imbalances that I've started to see since coming back.
I was about to say, Stranger has a lot to say here. I'm going to go to the restroom, but keep talking.
One thing about the tank destroyer that a lot of people miss is that it's also using a better version of the standard 68mm. Every other instance in the game besides the emplacement, which is a fixed gun position that you have to move in with a crane, and it's honestly really hard to manage because you also need to then manually input ammo. You can't carry it around while it has ammunition in it. every other instance has a long reload time on the 68mm, but the light tank destroyer has actually a faster reload than even the light tank. So it fires a weapon that competes with the battle tank for size and power in terms of shell strength better than anything else but the purely defensive item that is the emplacement.
Yeah, I totally agree. And there's multiple other things in the game at the minute that are imbalanced. And the big worry I've got is with this winter update, there are a lot of they've split the infantry weapons 50-50 now. So people are going to get this, so people are going to get that. And all I keep hearing is the biggest worry at the moment is this SMG pistol. I haven't seen much of it. I saw it quickly in the dev stream, but
are we sorry, talking about the secondary? That secondary
yeah,
weapon?
the secondary. I think
I'm not as worried about that. It is crazy that tank commanders and even sidecars for motorcycles and the Colonial suicide wagon that is their Jeep will get a fully automatic weapon. But from what I have seen and from what people have told me, it is an incredibly inaccurate weapon, and it still does the same amount of damage as the standard SMG.
Yeah,
standard SMG is already inaccurate. So
yeah, I understand that, but there's one avenue that everybody's missing, right? At the moment, on either side of the map, what's the biggest thing on left and right of the map? Forget about east and west. Water. Where can you use that SMG pistol?
Oh shit! In a motorboat, fucking hell!
Oh, motorboat!
Everybody.
Oh god!
I wrote a piece to the devs yesterday, I think it was, whenever the stream was, the day just after the stream, and basically send them a little thing. I haven't had any feedback yet on it, but like that is the one place I don't mind the commander slot. I don't mind sidecars. They're variables they'll get entertained through, but the motorboat is the biggest broken one because haulers, because if you're doing waterlogy, you can basically take one down now without having to worry about getting out of the boat or having a landing craft.
God.
And from a warden perspective, with the colonials already having the APC with the 50 cal in it, which already ruins waterlogy when they do decide to tech it, it now makes waterlogy for the wardens even harder, seeing as we have no on-water protection.
It's also absolutely insane versus gunboats because you can actually take out a gunboat right now with a 9mm pistol because it doesn't have armor actually, despite being a vehicle that costs almost as much as a light tank. It might actually cost more.
I broke all this down in an email to the devs, basically.
Can you post it on Reddit, or do you not want to?
Yeah. No, I'll post it on Reddit. I've written it all up.
You'll get downvoted to hell, but I don't care. It'll be a good read.
It's 3 a.m. here, so once this is probably finished, I'm gonna head to bed. But when I get up in the morning,
obviously, no rush. I was just interested. I was just really interested in. Now, of course, none of us have actually had a chance to use the weapon. So if we go on the dev branch and it actually feels great, whatever. But
that's one of the reasons why I haven't posted it. One of the reasons why I haven't posted it yet is I wanted to see what comes out of it, if it's going to work, how it's going to be before I really think. But I've already posted those cautions to the devs to sort of give them a heads up of saying, hey, everybody's talking about tank commanders, nobody's talking about how broken waterlogy is already. Like, I had huge issues.
I mean, literally, literally until we get gunboats, ship-to-ship weaponry, like water will always be broken, no matter what. Until we get actual genuine naval combat, where the cannons. I don't agree. I don't agree with that. I think there are a few little balances, and I was kind of hoping that we would have seen this in this winter update. But there were a few little balances that could have solved that, making the cargo ship health significantly more, so it's not as susceptible to small arms.
Changing the health wouldn't actually do too much. Instead, you should add a small amount of vehicle armor to all water vehicles. Small amounts of vehicle armor can actually be penetrated by HMGs, so it wouldn't change their combat against other gunboats and the APC. But it would stop the ridiculous situation where you have a pair of Somalian pirates with their 9mm grease gun.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. But the other thing is I know a lot of the wardens have talked about it, but the Warden APC being totally unarmed. I know he was supposed to get smoke originally, and I know the devs mentioned that that's far out by the looks of things. But
well, it's not just unarmed. It's also the Colonials and Wardens have two very different versions of the APC. I like to think that the Wardens essentially got the pre-buff APC, which was such an awful vehicle that basically nobody ever used it except in the very off chance that you were like below the rank of Warrant Officer 1 and you wanted to do a nighttime water raid. And the Colonials got the post-buff APC that was used alongside tanks because it was such an amazing vehicle, so you would have hordes of people with storm rifles sitting inside of APCs firing out the back, supporting armor. And then in addition to that, they got a version of it with the HMG on it, which is just absolutely overkill.
And
this goes. I got a question about that.
Yeah, go for it.
Just quick. What the hell happened to us getting the smoke launcher APC? They get both of theirs.
The devs mentioned this a couple of days ago about how that's still on the burner and it was broken when they tested it and it was going to come later down the line. But what I'm trying to get at is this goes back to this imbalance that's sort of coming out from, I say mostly the Warden side, but I've seen it on the Collie side as well. Mm-hmm. The biggest issue that I've seen coming back to the game on imbalance is looking at the tech tree and what vehicles have weaponry and what vehicles don't. So I can give you a quick example in 3 different vehicles. So the Colonials get a truck with a machine gun on it, a basic truck with a machine gun on it. They get a motorbike with a machine gun on it, and they get the APC with a machine gun on it. Whereas the Wardens get an unarmed truck, an unarmed jump bike, and an unarmed APC. And I know they want to go in different ways and they want everybody to have different stuff, but if you're gonna give every one side weaponry on all various different vehicles of theirs, and then the other side get none, there's a clear imbalance there.
I think another thing that a lot of people have failed to realize is also because of the way the devs want to implement these vehicles, every time they put a gun, especially such a competitive gun as the HMG, because at this point in time, the HMG kills infantry, buildings, light vehicles. It's one of the only truly all-purpose high-power weapons that we have now after the Small Arms update. We can't have those on our own vehicles. We can't have an APC with an HMG because, well, the Colonials already have it. We can't have a light half-track because the Colonials already have it. We can't have so many vehicles because, well, they already gave it to the Colonials, and they need to make sure that each faction has different vehicles and different vehicle identities.
So for the APC, the idea that I posted to the devs for the APC changes have a closed top APC, similar to, I don't know if any of you have seen it, the US Marine Corps use a closed top APC. Have something very similar with fire imports in the side rather than a front up machine gun.
Yeah.
And similar things along them lines. It's not the same. It's very different, and it's very different in the way it'll be used. But at the same time, it would create some sort of balance.
I think it would actually be very interesting if the Wardens had like some sort of a turtle APC, especially if we could fire off of the front of it. Maybe you could have like a ram up front that could negate the effect of mines. Yeah, like a ram plate, or it could be like or it could have like a crab flail or like some other mine roller type of thing.
But like actually frontline capable.
Yeah, but specifically with like a sub-roll that it would be highly armored, maybe a little bit slower, and it could destroy mines to help with the Warden vehicles, because right now Warden vehicles are a lot of off-road, rugged terrain, highly armored things, but we tend to suffer really heavily when the Colonials decide to deploy mines, which mines are absolutely amazing. I am glad that factions are using mines more. I just wish it was my own faction that was utilizing mines more.
No, we just use human wave tactics.
I mean, human wave tactics work. I would absolutely love.
We'll finish with this, yeah.
The devs are implementing. I haven't really gotten to all that much, but yeah, the devs are implementing weapons for either side, right? Considering the human wave tactics that the Wardens seem to use, and the fact that we do need an early game anti-tank weapon, what if the devs were to give Wardens lunge mines? That'd be beautiful.
What is that? What is a lunge mine?
So a lunge mine was a Japanese...
It's a mine attached to the end of a stick.
It was a weapon used by the Japanese primarily as an anti-tank weapon. you would have a shaped charge explosive on the end of a stick, and the idea was that you charged forwards and attacked enemy vehicles. This worked because there's a high amount of terrain obfuscation and a lot of cover that they could use, but also it would be absolutely beautiful to see Warden lines charging at Colonials and then poking their tanks with pointy sticks that explode. Obviously, the soldiers shouldn't survive this, but, I mean, that's a small price to pay. It's basically just a better sticky bomb.
Anything that encourages suicide tactics, like true suicide tactics, I'm not a big fan of, but go ahead.
Can I make one point before I disappear?
Yeah.
So, the war... In the dev stream, they posted there was an image. There was an artist image. If anybody saw that tank in the artist image, I just want. Hopefully, the devs are thinking about that. You know, a 75mm a tank destroyer for the Wardens. You know, just throwing that out there. But you know,
yeah, for sure. Hey, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Welsh, especially for you. Thank you for staying up so late.
I'll be. That's fine. I'll be back again.
Yeah, hey, I'm sorry we couldn't get to your call with the devs, but thank you so much.
Not a problem. Thanks a lot, guys.
I had actually originally come to discuss defenses, but it was nice talking about vehicles like this.
Yeah. All right.
I'll try and get that on Reddit in the next day or two.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Bye.
If a warden can kill a frickin' oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. Finish your thought.
Oh,
actually.
It's fine. Oh,
I don't want to be left hanging. Finish your thought.
I was running one of those tank destroyers with a corporal. We killed 4 Silverhands. I believe the Wardens may or may not need a tank destroyer due to the fact that if I can do that with a frickin' player who had the game for 2 days, I think the Wardens need something to even shit out. That's my thought. Goodbye. Have a good night. Have a good day. Where the hell you are. I don't give a shit. Bye.
Farewell. Okay. I don't even know. Who have I not?
Oh.
Hey guys.
Howdy.
I don't know. Who did I got some in there. Okay, technically we need, okay. If we're going by queue. And I guess here, I don't know. This is literally everyone else. Okay.
Camouflage and I think are going to talk about the same thing.
Okay. Go for it.
I actually wanted to mention about the sniper tank Warden version.
Ooh, that's a thought.
Yeah. How I just had the question how would that look, you know? Because they got like a Wolverine kind of thing with the open top.
The Colonials?
Yeah. What would the Warden
German
have?
Hetzer, the flat top one.
I'm thinking more of an elephant, if you know what I'm talking about.
Isn't that just the Kreneska? Oh no. That's the Brumbauer. You're talking about the mouse. Did you say the elephant?
No.
What the hell is the elephant?
It was the chassis of the Tiger, but it was a tank destroyer.
I mean that's kind of the Pelikes now, right?
I think so.
I mean, not obviously not, like open top, but I don't know.
Yeah.
This thing looks so ridiculous. I'm looking at a picture of it now. And to think by the time they made this, it's like, yeah, okay, but we have like no fuel to actually run it. And there's like one P-51 Mustang ready to wreck this thing. But regardless, I'm sorry, Carefulrogue, DDN, what were you talking about?
I have a question. Do you reckon that the Logi transport vehicles are also, with the weather effects, going to end up freezing over? And if so, how is that actually going to affect logistics?
There's a whole thought process.
Oh, that could actually
jump in. Everyone jump in.
Compound question.
I believe that for when it comes to logistics in that, I don't believe that logistical vehicles are being affected because the dev specifically stated that they want things like lakes freezing over so that you can drive across and deliver supplies.
Yeah, but then they said that the vehicles are also going to freeze. So they didn't really tell us which vehicles were. So that's where my concern comes from, because I'm base builder / logistics and partisan. So my main issue is with logistics, because if logistics vehicles are going to freeze over, we're going to have a lot of trouble with like Logi, especially Wardens, because we have to bring ours real far. I enjoyed playing on the Collie side of the map last war because it was so easy. The roads were so simple. They were straight.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions like this. I've got questions in regards to partisans.
And I think Logi at this point doesn't get any doesn't get to complain about partisans anymore, but that's just me.
Actually, no, I'll take that back. We do, thank you, because my storm cannon base in Drowned Vale was constantly under attack by raid and so forth.
I'm sorry, careful. You're saying that partisans, they're not feeling the love, or rather, they're not getting. They get the short end of the stick right now, or the opposite?
It's. I think they've had a bit of the short end of the stick, but part of that I think is people aren't taking the initiative. On the other hand, I think Logi complains a little too much. That's just my thought. Whether that actually bears out, I haven't done partisan operations in a while, but I favor partisan operations.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that just appears to be the kind of a counter view compared to what appears to be the prevailing thought, which is that partisans were
Until you
were
get
or
satchels,
are too
how do you get
powerful.
rid of concrete bases?
Yeah, because satchels aren't available a lot of the times, it's kind of hard. But I'm thinking because of the weather changes, that's going to negatively affect partisans and reduce their operative capabilities.
Yeah, I don't think people have thought about that too much. So that'll be very interesting to see how that plays out.
But it also could be just my perspective too, because when I do partisans, I do it on foot primarily. Partly because I'm too lazy and not charismatic enough to get a group together to go.
Get a jeep and go for a quick drive. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I do partisan work by foot too. It's easier. You don't leave tracks.
You don't also lose as much equipment or as expensive equipment.
Yeah,
that's something I prioritize a lot.
Loxon, what were you going to say?
Oh, just like when you're on foot rather than in a vehicle, there's a lot less precedence when you get seen on the radio. You know, it's like, oh, there's a vehicle. Oh, there's just a dot. It's just a wandering.
I see a triangle. Is that a tank?
But I did want to say something about.
Go right ahead, Loxon.
Oh, thanks. Something I was thinking about, like when it comes to weather, it's like, you know, we're thinking vehicles are going to freeze and, you know, people are going to have to like buckle down and stop. And like war's going to keep going. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a alternative stamina bar, like with the like you're cold, you're getting cold. Oh man, you're find shelter, but you're still going to be able to go out and do things. And I think for logistics, if the logistic vehicles do freeze, I think there's just going to be a little bit more checkpoints, more of a stop and kind of hold out and warm up. I don't know. That's just my guess.
Can I jump in for 2 seconds?
Go for it.
Yeah, go.
Sorry, I'm a little bit big person.
I crammed this voice chat. I'm sorry.
I think what the devs are trying to do, and to me in Drowned Vale it was very obvious. Logistics may have been working at Mercy's Whale or whatever, so they were constantly storing, the seaports, all main logistics town seaports. It's why when the collies came into Viper Pit, why it was so bad. All main logistics towns hold 90% of your actual groups, of your team's logistics supplies, the way I feel. While all the little seaports and that contain nothing. I think what the devs are trying to do is force us to spread out our actual supplies. That's if they're going to affect logistics vehicles as well. Sorry, that'd be my opening point.
Can I jump in for a second? I'm just gonna go back to like if Logi vehicles aren't affected. I'm pretty sure they're gonna make all vehicles affected because why wouldn't they? Because you just
and I agree.
idling.
Rhyme and reason.
Also, I think like idling the tank, I think should not make it freeze, but like leaving it there, just like no one in it, I feel like that should make it freeze. But if you're just sitting there, but the tank's running or like the truck is running, then it should freeze. I feel like that's how they're gonna do it.
Perhaps if fuel capacity goes down, even if you're not moving, that be a way to balance it out.
I don't think they'll do that because people idle in trucks and all the time in Logi towns. You don't want the fuel like in the middle in the street.
Well, there's also efficiency, so idling isn't just necessarily sucking all your thing down.
Yeah, lots of questions. I haven't yet to really kind of figure out how this update's going to change things.
I wish
I'm
more
still
people
thinking in
had
2016
got to ask these questions.
Yeah.
Because, I mean nothing, but I feel that a lot of the questions that we have are very important about the update that never got asked.
Yeah, I think I dropped the ball today. I
don't think you did. I think you just got overwhelmed, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more so just that I try to explore something to its fullest extent because I don't want it to be like 1 minute where it's like, hey, is this going to be in here? Yes. Okay. See ya. I kind of want to like make something out of it and try and get something. But I think I pushed it too far this time. I think what I'm going to do.
No, you did fine.
Yeah,
I mean, we got like 5 people.
I like theory craft.
You got 6. You got 6.
No, 6.
Yeah, you got 6. It was pretty good.
I counted them. No, it was good. It's good, but I just felt that the main questions about the updates were never asked.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me as a player, like I actually need the dev to answer a couple of these, or at least hint to answers.
Mm-hmm.
So
Part of
I'd
the
like to
problem
know
also,
logistics are going to be affected.
because people are also have been suggesting, because now we're just talking about this show, but part of people have been suggesting, oh, if you go this show, you shouldn't be allowed to go on the next show. But then, like, sometimes it's like 2 to 3 weeks until like the next
bit
show.
like the game, population drop.
Yeah, so it's like, well, it's 1.
Right.
Okay, I guess I have to record that now, and 2. Is that fair to block someone out for 3 weeks? Maybe if no one else ever gone on before. I don't know.
But then my question would also be like, I may be part of 82, but a lot of I don't agree with my higher ups and some of the opinions they have about the game.
Sure.
So my questions are more. I get where the devs are coming with some of this, and I feel that some of them they drop the ball. Some of them I can see what they're doing, and I've said this to everyone. Like I can see it. And I'm willing to listen. I just need them to give us information and tell us exactly what they're thinking, to some degree. I don't expect them to go, oh, we think the Silverhand's way too OP. But, you know, that's sort of like hint, like, oh, we're going to look at the Silverhand.
So obviously I'm not them, but what I have gleaned is that they want to actually kind of avoid that to a degree. They kind of want you guys to not like know what they're thinking to a degree because then they fear. They actually answered this kind of thing before, but like
they fear the response is going to be counter to what they want.
Not even.
I played with Crazy for 3 years. I know what he thinks.
No, but also like also that Jesus. What am I trying to say? That the devs don't want it to be a game of constantly that. Like they just want you to focus on the experience. They just want you to. How does this feel? And then you just let us know,
I've got an answer,
and then we'll figure
like
it
a
out.
second job.
As opposed to like, well, the devs are thinking that the Silverhand is too OP. So let's specific instead of like actually playing the game and like actually giving feedback on how it feels. We're constantly in our heads theory crafting and trying to play around the numbers as opposed to actually just playing the game. So go ahead.
No, that's fine. I do actually. Obviously, you talk to devs or whatever a little bit more than we do.
Not that
I would
much.
love the
Really
devs
not that
to
much.
go in and create a little clan and call themselves the devs and play either side of the war and build their own bunker base. Because I've done it and I did it with groups helping me this war. Like, I literally had to get people to watch my base overnight because I had so many partisan problems, especially while your concrete's drying.
Yeah.
I would like them to just 6 of them or however many there are, just get in, make a little group, and then try and build their bunker base on a frontline region with concrete.
Yeah.
Like that. Because Drowned Vale was very interesting.
That I actually got another.
That was very better when Ben Glenn was under attack.
Someone tried to come in with a question. They DM'd me because I think they didn't have time or whatever. And sadly, I can't necessarily just go out of the blue. You kind of have to go through the call queue, which I dropped the ball on. But yeah, it's like babysitting things. Is that an intended part of the game? Because if you have something well, that's the catch-22, right? We want persistent things. The downside is if you have persistent things, you're gonna kind of force people to babysit it. So what? Do you automate defenses? Do you?
Can we?
Is babysitting good? I don't know.
Yeah, do you think it would be a good idea to separate the techs in the bunker bases? So do you think maybe we should tech 1 should be available the first day of the war, but then tech 2 shouldn't be?
Oh goodness, I truly cannot.
Oh no, I actually want someone's opinion on this.
Yeah,
because everyone I ask has different opinions.
All right. Can I?
Yeah.
Oh, shut up.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't think that would really work because you know everyone wants to like get a base down and stuff right on the first day, and with the first day, everything is so easily destroyed because you don't have AI. If you have level 1 bunkers, those are how many HGs does it take? That it's like 3, 4. I don't know how many HGs, but like it's much
depending
easier.
on the size.
it's a lot easier to destroy a level 1 bunker. And if you're forced to stick to that and you can't upgrade it, I think that's more of just a downside for everyone.
I mean, yeah,
But
what's
then that's
keeping
your
me
side
from
to
taking
react.
a truck across region with 2 other people on HEs?
That's true. I'm just asking questions because I don't get a lot of answers from some people I play with. And I play with solos mainly, by the way. I play with
The Reddit is a fairly good place for it if you have the tenacity.
I think we're getting close because okay, so I'm constantly making this comparison, but EVE Online that is the ultimate MMO, right? Up there with WoW.
I don't know. I
Like,
never played it.
Yeah, don't.
Never played
It's a nightmare.
No.
But EVE
We've
Online.
heard of it, though, at
So you are a corporation, or you can make a corporation, and you can like there's the actual game space, and then you can literally reserve buy a contract, reserve a plot in space, and no one can go in there or whatever. I actually forget how that works, but literally you have to save or squat there to save a piece of literal space, and then also make sure the contract or the literal leases are constantly paid. You have to babysit it. And that is 100% encouraged by the game and the developers and everything. That is a game where you have pagers. People will have pagers like a doctor to be on calls hey, this just opened up. Let's go. Let's do it. And to call a raid. Do we want to see that? Are we getting there in Foxhole?
But we're already doing that now.
Because of that?
Not
We're
that
already doing that
intensity.
now.
I think the devs would want to move away.
But I have to sit there for my bunker base to go to tier 2.
Okay, so we're saying no, but at the same time, or the room is saying no. I don't know, but we're saying that's a bad thing.
Yes.
I don't know how you balance it.
I think that's a pretty bad thing.
To interject there, I don't know how EVE is. It's multiple factions, split factions. For Foxhole, you've got 2 sides. You've got the Wardens, you've got the Colonial. So there's a lot,
distinction. Yeah.
For the most part,
EVE is free for all.
Yeah.
Literally every clan is their own entity, and they can betray.
Do we
each
have
other.
any colonials in here?
But
Hi.
I'm Colonial.
Hi. Okay.
Yeah,
How
I'm
much was that
Colonial.
bunker base was costing you guys? That major one you guys built. How much was it costing you guys?
The 404 and 9527 base?
Yeah, it was something like 2,500 B supplies or something an hour.
I don't
What?
know the
I heard.
actual supply because I never. The only time I actually ever went into that base was to fire their storm cannon at Kirknall.
Now, I always I'm just trying to say, imagine how many of their factories were producing those B supplies. And why we ended up steamrolling once we got past your main initial lines.
I think the biggest issue that I wanted to say is communication. You've got your team, you've got your people, you've got the whole hey, let's attack here, and those posts kind of show up, and especially after you take out a city, that post will remain, but there's no other front. But those are the more highlighted communication posts on the map. But there's no hey, can you babysit my place here? Or hey, I need some extra stuff here. I don't see a lot of those.
It, but
yeah, and those are
sometimes people will respond to it, but the problem is you can't be there forever. Everyone's asking for it. You choose one base, and then that's the one base you can support. That's it.
Right.
And you need to move your spawn if you're doing logistics. Because hey, if you lose your truck, you want to be at this more close spawn so you can grab a gun and go after that bastard who kill you.
You know what I would love for bunker bases? A storage dump. So we can actually take crates in and store crates there, because I was letting the guys from Ben Glen and that take my supplies from my bunker base. That was fine because it's giving activity. What I would have preferred was to build a concrete little storage hub that they could have come and then collected crates and then taken it straight up. That would have been cool.
I think a really neat thing they could add to bunkers.
So something
would
like
be
the
a
seaport.
Hold on.
network
Sam, finish your thought, Seeker.
Sorry.
I was saying, I think something that they could add, which would be really cool, would be a network storage. So a place in a bunker where you can just kind of walk in, grab a few clips of ammo, and then walk out. Somewhere where people just dump in at the main bunker point, but then people can resupply from this other point that maybe just be slightly further up. Kind of also it would give bunkers a new kind of tactical element
That
to it
sounds
because
pretty
now
cool
it's
too.
like you have to choose: do we try to take out the whole bunker, or do we try to move in and take out the small resupply post first, then move on to the bunker?
So you actually have to fight to take the bunker over. That's cool, man. Instead of having all these big bunkers that you have to destroy after you clean them out.
Right.
I remember. So going a little bit back to the not the operations, although that's important. Regiment system, right? Our finally our in-game actual groups being validated here. I think I remember talking to the devs about, which doesn't mean anything, but I remember talking to them about like, hey, how it would be pretty cool if like you had like message of the day or like standing orders, so that it's like. That way, if you have a big group of 100 people, they'll, obviously they're going to cycle in throughout the day with different work schedules or whatever, and they'll have standing orders. So that way, it's like, okay, we're pushing this front. Okay, we need this, and this done. Okay, let's make that a goal. Let's do that. That way, they can communicate with each other on that board and actually, get it going. I'm just glad that people no longer will have to go to Discord. To actually be part of something. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, I think communications is actual validating communications.
Like a notice board.
Is going to be important.
I'm going to post like a short 100-character message that would do wonders. Clans are still going to use their external tools. I'm on the edge of joining a clan role engineers division, and they're still going to use their Discord even after the system's up.
Yeah,
82 DK, no one's going to tear down their infrastructure. They've already set up.
Devs literally put in a Discord link for you guys, so for 4 groups. So if anything, it's just supporting it. But just having that in-game validation is very important because it's not having it for the longest time really disconnected a lot of people. So I think it'll help with more casual players. It's like, they're not going to be for every operation, but for the 5 hours that they have to spare throughout the week, they'll be part of it. They'll be part of X group.
I actually agree with that because that's the reason I joined.
Participation in an organization, that actually would be something great.
Yeah. Now regiments is just the beginning.
You can come back. You can come back. Hey, your group is still here. Just start playing with whoever's on.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a wrench once more in here, and we're gonna end this makeshift round table with this, which is that. So obviously we want squads a little revamped, and we want operations brought back, right? We definitely want that, and there's all sorts of configurations we can debate and suggest about how, like, what do you think is a system to get operations to talk to each other? Or squads to talk to each other? Like, should there be a public channel, like some sort? I know PlanetSide 2 has a commander channel where if you are leader of a squad or platoon, you have access after a certain level. You have access to this thing, and it's a shitstorm, but it's important. But I don't know. Well, what are ways to get people to really get talking to each other, kind of on a macro scale? Thoughts, suggestions,
notice board, home region.
So for different operations, you mean by that?
Yes, because so like let's say,
are you familiar with operations for first?
Yes,
of all?
like a beach landing, like what they did during war.
No, it used to be like a call thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Or talking about real life?
No, the operations, the old
system,
operations, the old communication.
For the,
I'm not
there's a lot of new players that don't even know what that is.
Oh, okay, then I guess that's true because it's been gone for like a year.
So operations were kind of a way. It was kind of like a squad setting, but you could join in it and exit at will, and you were able to see map posts and all that. It kind of like squads now, but a little bit more intuitive and
They
more.
also have a little map marker for you.
Yeah, a little bit more
Which I kind
communicational.
of miss.
All right. So it's kind of like a modern day squad, but like had more things to do in it.
You could join and leave at will, and there was like a lot
promotions, officers.
Yeah,
it was longer term as opposed to the ad hoc squads or the more immediate squads.
Yeah, like a mix. I think a mix of those two would be pretty swell. In fact, I think
I think
as a means of just like making it easier for commanders to talk to each other from various squads and officers like that. Just having some way to annotate, hey, this is the command. This is the commander of the squad. This is the officer of that squad. Some ways to just look at that visually in chat.
Yeah,
you can do it with like underscores or underlinings or italicization or bolding or something like that. Something that immediately will stick out and say, okay, I need to get into contact with this guy, or what's this guy doing? What's his group doing, or does he need help? That sort of thing.
I do really wish it would add a system like that, because personally, I'm in something like 28 Discords currently. So when I have to cross communicate,
right?
Those are just the Colonial ones too. Those aren't even like the Warden ones.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think cross communication is going to be big once everyone gets settled into this new thing for like the next 6 months or whatever. I think cross communications is going to be in the macro level is going to be big, just because, and like learning how to share that space is going to be very important. Just because, yeah, it's a complete mess right now. The general, like that one general chat is just absolute.
Oh yeah.
I
don't even
literally
look
have
at
not typed into the world chat in like literal months, and that has nothing to do with the communications rating system. It's literally because, well, if I say this, then it's like gonna apply to only like 20% of the people, and it's gonna be, you know,
even if they're looking.
Yeah, and there's gonna be like gonna be 30 people who are gonna like take issue with that. But it's like, oh, that's not what I meant. But also like, you're dumb. No, I don't know. But like, you know, it's a mess. It's a mess.
I'll tell you that. They don't say that.
It's absolutely the Wild West.
Right.
Crazy.
Anyone who's got downvote goes into the red channel.
Yeah, I was just joking about that. But it is a mess.
Red.
Just the flow
gotcha.
of information is just so. It's just too much, but this game requires it. It's almost like
there needs to be a chain of command, though. I think that's the hugest issue. There's people
that how you establish that chain of command. That's the problem we run into.
Well, exactly right. A chain of command requires like actual authority, and in this game, you can't have actual authority unless you make a group.
Clues and I. There's a time Clues actually wrote up a thing.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him for a while there. And it was about like giving people the authority. Like, so instead of like, so for regiments, this is just a pretend world. Like for regiments, what you do is you join. The guy makes it, right? Geoffrey makes it, and then we're all joined, right? So like what we would do is we're all equals in that sense, except for you Geoffrey, you would have made it, so you would be the commander. But we would give you more power by voting in our vote. So then, like, there's like, okay, I trust him. He's the guy. I want him to talk. He represents us. So then that would be the chain of command, technically speaking. But this is for our squad. This is for our piece of the regiment. Like all of us care about what your leadership is and how your direction is. And hey, I'm only here for 30 minutes. Can you whatever you do, I don't care. Or you're like, hey, I really like you. I've seen what you did in the past, and I want to see what you could do in the future. Like we all pitch in that vote, and the chain of command is us 5, like following you. So that's just a piece of the puzzle that I would love to see in this regiment system, or the like operation tied to the regiment system, where we have all this group of people that other people have upvoted all these other people. Like 82 DK. Evie's the main guy or whatever. And then you got all the other 82 DK people voting them in. So there is a sense of authority because they are the ones who gave that in.
Right.
If they're not going to vote them in, they're not. Yeah, it's chaos.
Yeah, if you're not made,
it's going to fall apart in its own.
Yeah.
But this is like a player-driven, player-given authority center. And then now you've got all the team leaders who are not a part of the same clan, who are not a part of the same like time zones. They're all working in their own chat box, and if they say something stupid, got the 4chan group coming in, and okay, they're going to say some stuff. Okay, vote them off. Whatever. It's player driven. Pretty easy.
Do you know what I would like to see?
Go for it.
What's the red command? The red one's like for emergency messaging. Hey, it's like intelligence, intelligence. I would like, and I know this is a big fantasy, anyone who's downvoted shouldn't be able to talk in that. And I take that as criticism, because I think intelligence posts should come across everyone's screen as like a flashing cross, like as if something's gone wrong. Intelligence needs to be there for intelligence, such as when the landing in Drowned Vale happened, or the Viper Pit invasion. That intelligence posts, they need to be there. But intelligence posts on both sides, I dare say, because I know we have it on Warden, are just used for talking. We're just getting more and more chat boxes. They're not really...
Yeah, exactly.
You're adding chat boxes. Who cares? They're just different colors, man. Well, intelligence need to be...
What if you only had one chat, one post per, like, 5 hours? So you can only post once.
I don't agree. Because when the Drowned Vale
then you also
happened...
have the issue of how do you... I don't censor that part of it, because otherwise you're going to have people that are just going to spam out just garbage.
The problem is with the intelligence thing is the only way you're really going to be able to figure out what's
right or wrong there is you need someone who's an intelligent and faithful actor, and unfortunately, we've all seen the idiot.
Yeah,
who's,
the village.
I can think of two.
Let's not name drop.
That's
but,
the other thing. I don't like the
knows
up and down
what.
vote, by the way. I want them to get rid of it. I don't like it. We're not a communist nation.
Social
We do not
credit
need
score?
up and yeah, I don't agree with the social credit score. Get rid of it. I really hate it, and I'm pro against it. Like, absolutely, burn it to the ground. Get rid of it. Guess what? You got that asshole shit posting? Mute him. You can do it. Right click on his name and mute him. Done. You don't ever get to see it. Guess what? The only time his message should come across is if he posts it in intelligence. So let him talk in general all his shit he wants. If he's muted, you can't see him. Unless he posts in intelligence, in which case then you can see him. And hopefully he's doing the right thing, going, hello, we got an invasion down here. Or
it could be
spam, logic route cut off. Yeah.
So you're saying
there should be a way
there should be a space.
You would still mute him.
There's a space where it's like, okay, this is the this is free for all, whatever. You can dig dumb shit here, and this chat will have a reputation for being dumb because people will just put their dumb stuff here. But when you get to the red chat, when you get to the intel, you better be serious, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think intel needs to be serious. I really do.
How about intelligence? How about the social credit score? Oh, never mind. That goes against your the whole thing.
Yeah, it does. It does go against me because I don't agree with it.
I'm iffy on that. I don't like the.
Well, I mean, I think I don't know.
I
Could
think
you
it's a useful moderation tool, but it's very much a question of.
I'm mixed.
It is very similar to the social credit score, and
then I've been around a group of randos who are just like, I'll just downvote this guy because I don't like him. Like, I've actually been around a group of randos that have done that.
Yeah,
I'm
not surprised.
Are you really downvoting this guy because you don't like him in personal life? Like, I find social credit score working.
It's tricky because in this game, for a chat that everyone in the faction, everyone can see, that can seriously like throw off everything. That can throw off a whole and like seriously hurt the war effort because as soon as some guy says something dumb or political, someone else has the need to respond to that, and then two people need to like make jokes about it, and then five people. And by the time that has sorted itself out, 20 minutes have passed, and the enemy has like attacked something, and no one was paying attention, or like only a scant number of people were actually like alerted to it because the chat was a mess. So I don't know. I think closing things.
Just most of our chat boxes are red now. Like, because I don't know. I play in the Australian time zone, so we get a lot of very red. Like, I've watched it for like 20 minutes plus. Just red. Just glowing red, the whole chat box. It's just red.
Use this as a jump point to argue for all chat pack.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I've
Better shit posting chat.
I don't want that. No. I am a strong proponent of not bringing back all chat.
It was nice when we're all close and knit, and there's a small group of people.
That's
like,
all chat-
hey, I blew your thing up, but not now.
All chat was really fun when it was good. It was great when it was used properly. And it's like, hey, let's have a fight club. Hey, let's hey, that was a nice play, or like,
hey, that was a good war,
we're playing around and you get it. We're playing around now. But no, the moment someone doesn't get it, it throws everything off. Like, take what I explained earlier for a faction chat and times it by 2 because now the other faction is in on it. And I feel like people completely forgot or never experienced just how.
No, they like that though.
Bad.
They like the salt. They want to see. They
that's
want
what
to
Discord's
poke
for.
you.
That's what Foxhole Discord. That's what Foxhole General Chat Discord is for.
That's
all
what your own
that.
servers are meant for. Is shit posting.
Yeah,
all your own Discord servers. You can shit post in that. Well, here's another way. How about you just restrict general chat to? How about you just restrict your general chat to the regions and just use Intel for the wide map?
Could work.
Maybe.
That would have been an easier option to trial. Because instead of just adding more chat, it means that then the ret chat could be like, okay, we're losing shirts in wherever, Vipers, whatever. We need shirts made. So that's actually intelligence. That's needed to know. Oh, there's partisans here. That's also needed to be known.
I think
the only problem with that is about Logi, because Logi would need to know where to bring stuff, because you people use the Logi chat all the time to request things,
Yeah, that is true. I'll agree with that, yeah. Okay, fair enough.
I think
I'm just thinking about minimizing the amount of shit posting that happens in the red chat. Like, just watching your red bar turn red for half an hour, man. It's like, so I'm not seeing the colors. The colors are no good because I'm just seeing red.
It's like that car alarm going off in the distance. Like, okay, I've heard enough of that.
I think the key to
But someone's actually
minimizing-
stealing it. I don't care.
I do think introducing a chat in some sort of tiered, to like some sort of more exclusive system, somehow. I don't know how you get there, but maybe keep it to regiment leaders. Maybe keep it to current squad leaders that are in the game right now. Something, just something that can be a little more reliable.
Randy says it should be slow mode, which I totally agree. At that point, it's like, what is the restriction? Just have a different color, have a different spot for it. Like, if we got rid of Wintel and we kept world chat, but we had it like more important, emphasis on important, well, it's just the same thing. Like, if world chat was slow mode, like you can't post every 3 minutes.
The problem is your shit posters are going to Intel because it's the only spots where they can't be banned from talking. So your immediate problem is this. The devs are like, okay, we can't silence them because what happens if something happens and they need to pass information on? So this is where the discussion actually is. What are you going to do with the minute morons that we have?
Well, there's people that make mistakes too, and we assume that they're morons. And
well, I agree
like
with that.
those things should be valid.
Mate,
I guess it just depends on the louder people.
I had a satchel charge, and I thought I swapped over to a fuel can last war, and put a satchel charge behind our freaking vehicles.
Oh no!
I mean, if you
I
lay
am
on
the
it, you
definition
negate
of
the
a moron
damage.
in this context.
If you lay on the satchel charge, you negate the damage.
I can imagine those precious few seconds where you realized it and your character was still setting the fuse, and you
I was sitting there watching. I'm like,
escape, delete,
no.
quit game.
No. I'm like,
what
the fuck? Everyone running.
Okay, hey gentlemen, I'm glad we went down that rabbit hole. Whatever I was throwing at you, this was a nice, fun little round table. I'm sorry I genuinely could not cram anyone else in here. Otherwise, we really lose the integrity of our discussion. But hey, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm sorry
It's been a pleasure.
Get you guys to the devs, but
Thank you for having
good.
us.
Yeah,
Thank
farewell.
you, boys.
Thanks for
Yeah,
the funnest
have a good night.
first PressCorps I've ever
Have a
been
good one.
Farewell. Okie dokie. Well, that's gonna be our show. I actually do think I'll review it, but I think I did kind of drop the ball in terms of helping people. I think maybe we'll have soft timers now after 7-10 minutes. So I'm not gonna hard cut them off, but hey, maybe say, hey, your 7 minutes have passed. You should probably wrap up. Maybe that'll encourage people to speed up or get to the heart of things. I would hope maybe people would get there naturally just by the nature of the show. But at the same time, I do want to say that I kind of do want to make every call worth it to a degree. I know there are some questions that really can't go anywhere. But sometimes I really want to explore something, and if that takes 15 minutes, I don't know. It's tricky because on the one hand, yeah, that's about 2 more people you could fit into a call, but maybe something profound is there, maybe not. It's really hard to say, and I think it's something I'm gonna have to wrestle with. I do wish I could do more of these. I think the devs are very receptive to doing that. Newer faces as well. Yeah, that's important. But also don't want to remove the perspective. Don't want to kind of soft ban people. It's like, hey, Lex, sorry you can't call for like 2 shows because we hear from you all the time. I don't know. Is that fair to him too? If he's got something to say, I don't know. I gotta think about it. So, I do not pre-vet the questions. Someone did ask that. Just some people do like to DM me and like talk about it ahead of time. That's fine. I guess I'll go through it with you to make sure. But no, it's completely off the cuff. Whatever whatever they want to say, and I got to work from it from there. So yeah, if it's a redundant question, if it's kind of a question that could have been answered differently, we figured that out live on the air. So it is what it is. This is raw as it gets. Kinda, I don't know what I'm saying. Hey, but regardless, I do want to say thank you so much for giving me your time. Thank you so much to the devs, of course, as always, for donating really their time outside of ours to communicate more. And the PressCorps is slowly coming out of its slumber. We do have some fun and exciting things for the community that I think the community will enjoy. Can't quite spill the beans on that yet. I think I've said that like the past 3 or 4 shows, but we're getting there. And so can't promise anything, but you know what? It's exciting. It really is. I've been on a hiatus from Foxhole for the past like 2 months, partially out of actually mostly because of life, but also partially just because it's good to take a break. So you know what? We are well on our way. Things are looking up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna keep the radio off just for a little while longer. Hopefully we can get up on the air with that new stuff soon. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Good night, good fight. It's been fun.
The PressCorps is a non-profit creative collective of artists, reporters, and players from the MMO video game Foxhole by Clapfoot. Our mission is to engross our audience in and amplify the stories of this unique war ecosystem. The PressCorps was founded in early 2018 by former PlanetSide 2 Radio Free Araxis host, Captain-in-Arms. It is a separate community entity and is in no way representative of Clapfoot. For more info, visit the PressCorps Discord through the link below.